not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. As always, we are presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime. That's the best part of it. When you work with The Advocates, you know they fought the fight you're trying to win, right? Not only have they fought the fight, they've won the fight. Hand them the claims process. Let them battle the insurance companies so you can get back to the best version of yourself. Get it right now. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. You can talk to a real live attorney. No chat bots, no AI, none of that BS. A real live attorney where you need them, when you need them, and how you need them. And hey, if that's in person at your home or in a hospital, if that is on a FaceTime or a video call, The Advocates are ready to serve you right now at theadvocates.com. Boy, a lot of people are fired up over the Dan Lanning, LSU football conversation. We're definitely going to get to that. I much more want to start with the World Series. Last night was unbelievable. It goes 18 innings. Freddie Freeman, the only guy to have 2 walk-off home runs in 2 different World Series in his career. Jake, how long did you make it before you said, nah, I'll figure it out in the morning?
The 8th inning. I went to bed. I was committed to not being tired.
I went to bed in the 8th inning.
So that I could show up and, do another great show for you guys and, and just be everything you needed me to be. So,
you said another great.
Yeah, another. Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Another one. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's fine.
Yeah.
I made it through the 9th inning. And then I retired to the Panther pit and called it the night.
The Panther pit.
Yeah. That's why I'm growing this mustache. But the point is, it was an epic game. And again, I know it's not popular, and I know that people get fired up when we start talking about who's the best of all time. You got to have the conversation now. I think, and I'm not sure there really is a conversation. I would have told you the best offensive player I've ever seen is Barry Lamar. Mm-hmm. I think my opinion has changed. I think now it's Shohei Ohtani. You look at what Shohei's doing over the course of multiple World Series and postseasons now. The idea that he plays, 18 innings last night. Now he's going to be the starting pitcher in DH tonight. He is not having a very good offensive postseason, and yet he's one of the best offensive postseasons in the history of baseball. I don't even know how you explain just how good Shohei Ohtani is. And I think he probably is already the best player in baseball. If he solidifies this World Series tonight, which would mean dominant performance, because he hasn't run his team. And I think Yamamoto, with these back-to-back complete games, I think that's shocking in this day and age. I think Yamamoto has been their best pitcher. But if Shohei does it again tonight and they go up 3-1, I think he is, if he throws a quality start and hits, even if he gets another extra base hit while doing it, I think it would be very difficult to argue this is not the best postseason we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the respect for what Ohtani is capable of was on full display. And everyone's all pissed off today and, trying to change the game once again. around like, hey, you shouldn't be able to intentionally walk a guy, 6 times in a row or whatever it was. And, you shouldn't be able
4 for 4 with 5 walks.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be able to take the best player out of the game or whatever. And you've got people comparing, this to like, making taking the ball out of Kobe's hands for an entire game. Like it's just, dude, that's baseball.
Why
like,
would you pitch to him?
Yeah, I mean,
he is derailing you rectally.
Yeah,
why would you pitch to him?
And like he took you deep earlier in the game. I just don't understand why it's that hard to understand. And I think that this is the problem when you play the Dodgers is that when you split the first 2 in Canada and then you come back to LA and you can't figure it out, now you're in a tough position, right? Now you're trailing in this series. The Dodgers are in control and their best player is taking the hill. And this is what we talked about is that if you can find a way to win the non-Ohtani start by pushing him, now when he does start, and if he gives you his best, which typically he does, you're in a great position to go up 3-1 in this series. Like that's the point of the strategy. So I thought it was an all-time game. I think that people get pissy when the Dodgers win, but I just thought it was one of the best postseason games that we've seen, and I don't even know how long. I mean, how
many balls did the Dodgers hit to the wall last night?
So many.
I mean, it was incredible. But a couple of numbers that I think you really need to know. Shohei Ohtani in 2 starts against 2 of the better offensive teams we saw in the postseason. You have against Milwaukee and Philadelphia, 12 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 0 home runs, 4 walks, 19 strikeouts, 189 pitches. And the thing that is so unbelievable is he's got a 2.25 ERA. That's unbelievable that he's got a 2.25 ERA. It is incredible. And then you start looking at his offensive numbers, and he has not had a great postseason. Hitting 283, slugging 811. OPS of 1236. In 53 at-bats, he's got 15 hits, 2 doubles. He's got a triple and 8 home runs, 14 RBIs, 13 walks, 19 strikeouts. It's the single greatest postseason we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if he does it again tonight, man, the very fact that they had Yamamoto on the bump in the bullpen after he had just pitched another complete game tells you how deep they were. The Tommy Edman glove flip on when Kershaw comes in, and I don't even know, man. It has been remarkable. Jake can't afford a small space heater for his room. Are you cold? What makes you think Jake's cold?
That's a vest reference.
Oh, are we? Okay. Got back from state just in time to catch the show. Okay, Jeremiah Champion, good to see you. 2 shakes, 1 for each arm that fell off his jacket and left him with a puffy vest.
Right.
Why are people obsessing over this vest?
I don't know, dude. You guys understand This isn't the first time I've worn a vest on the show, right? Like this isn't like breaking news.
No, it's not close to the first time.
Yeah.
Aggie says North Face vest 5 PSI, Columbia vest 35 PSI.
I will say the Columbia vest is much warmer than the North Face vest.
We got matching Columbia Life Raft jacket things over the weekend. I'm interested. Ooh, today's a big day for Jake, though.
It is. It has arrived.
It has. So, what? Whoa!
Wow!
What the?
Wow! Speaking of which,
what was that? Like, where did that come? Anyway, today's a big day for Jake. Jake starts Zepbound today. And I'm super excited for you because you're fucking fat, dude.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm excited for you. Like it's awfully difficult. So for those of you who know, I've been doing Zepbound since August 2nd. What is it? October 28th. So September 2nd, October 2nd, almost 3 months. And I have now lost 40 pounds, 42 pounds. So it's difficult when everybody in your life but you is doing Zepbound. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show in the non-sports stories.
We got that and another good one for you guys today. So hang around.
Yeah. Big Ponif says I tapped out in the 12th inning. Wow, you made it a lot farther than I did.
Yeah, see, I can't do like I really struggle with being a night owl. Like my body clock is so locked in that dude, if I'm sitting on the couch, I'm out, bro. It doesn't matter what's on the TV. Like I either have to be I gotta be gaming or I gotta go to bed. Like I will not be able to stay awake just sitting there.
Mike Smith, I don't think he's growing a mustache. I think he's just being Pigpen from the Peanuts comics.
No, there's a strategy. There is a strategy in place for the Monty mustache.
There is. I told you guys yesterday, I've been trying to figure out how to thicken my stash.
Length and girth.
And I've been reading a lot and watching a lot of barbers. And they say once it grows in, and when you first start growing a mustache, it grows in a little prepubescent and stuff. And so they say, hey, whack that bush, dude. Like, take a trimmer and shave that down. And then it'll grow back. And it is, I will agree, going back thicker. So it worked.
Yeah,
it worked. Jimmy Otson, Monty will say how much better the LSU job is, and then it's a better job. LSU gets a championship like every 5 years. Lanning likes it in Oregon. He's not going. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's finish up on the World Series. Whoa. I watched all 18 innings of that game.
Do you want a sticker?
Nice. Crazy Dodgers had Yamamoto warming up in the bullpen. He would have pitched the 19th, which is
and by
wild.
the way, how sketch is Sasaki still? Dude, that his inning earlier in the game was at the 7th, I believe it was.
What was that throw to first base? What was that throw?
I have no idea.
Sasaki got a comebacker and he almost whiffed on the throw to first base.
Yeah.
The chat room is obsessed with Jake and his jacket. We have no life. I'm trying to figure it out. Do you have the Columbia vest?
Yeah, I wore it yesterday on the show. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, that's why this is a thing, because I wore the Columbia vest yesterday on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. I didn't realize you wore the Columbia. Is that Gore-Tex, Jake?
No, it is not.
Damn, Monty, 9 out of 10? What do you mean 9 out of 10?
Yeah, what does that mean, bro?
What happened there? Watch out for that ground turkey. Dude, I crushed it. I had ground turkey in a bag of microwaved peas and carrots for lunch. Oh my God. The Polo Asada.
Polo Asada.
The Pollo Asada seasoning is, I'm living the dream right now. Jake taking Zepbound so that he'll slim for his wedding. Are you getting married?
Not yet.
43 with that burp. That was the weirdest burp ever. That came out of nowhere. Monty is svelte. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Hey, listen, I'll tell you, losing 42 pounds is, where are we at on the mustache, Monty? Or did Oak State James scare you into shaving it, dude? I'm telling you, I don't grow facial hair well. I don't try to say I do. I don't. We'll see. Zepbound and Puffy Vest. Jake is going to wind up being backwoods section in Eugene, probably. Monty does still have the soul patch rocking, but I do have. See, this is my point. What do I have to? Where's the remote for the camera? What do I have to do here? Do I have to
zoom it on in? Okay, so people can see it a little more now. Yeah. Yeah. So you're working on it.
Right?
You're working on it. And where's Oak State James on this? I mean, I feel like he's the expert, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to. Don't. You're gonna do it, aren't you? God, that pisses me off.
Oh shit!
He has such a punchable face. He really does. Like, you know, Ron Burgundy would be proud. At some point, it'll show. You know, what do I know? Good Lord, that zoom in looked like a balloon knot with the hair around it. Hey, man.
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is. All right. Real quick in the comments section. Do you guys believe that Shohei Ohtani is already the best? Shohei Ohtani is batting leadoff and taking and starting at pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just walk him as a matter of principle tonight?
No, not early in the game. No,
I would.
So.
I would treat him like Barry Bonds. I would treat him like Barry Bonds. Oh, you're including a little womb broom. Okay.
Wow, bro.
Choose peace, Monty. Choose peace, Monty. Never, I repeat, never do that zoom in. Let's see. Before the vest, it was the golf shirts. Well, now it's cold.
Yeah, it's chilly. It's fall.
Lopes fan Gabe, want to bet that Shohei is the best? There, see what he did there? See what he did there?
You know, Gabe, I don't personally have an Ipe style connection to where I can get the best lines and margins. So, you know, I don't think I'll be partaking, unfortunately. So, you know.
What did you have for lunch today, Jake?
I had Costco pot pie for lunch today.
That sounds so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds so good. He better get 12K and 4 bombs this time. Dude, I'm not pitching to him. Not once. I don't care if the bases are full or empty. But you know what the issue is? The issue is that when you pitch to him, it gives them momentum. And you can't allow that because it gets in your head mentally.
Yeah.
You could see the home run that Shohei Ohtani hit last night completely changed the energy of the game. And I think when Ipe's buddy goes deep, like you could just see what it did to change that game. And I just don't know why you would like it. You could see it just shook Scherzer. Right? It took him out of the. Why would you allow that to happen?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I have no idea why you would do that.
The obvious inference though is that if you walk him every time, you know, then you're giving up 2 if you give up a bomb to someone else. And that's the kind of can of worms that you open, I think, by, you know, just doing that. I think if you're in a leverage situation, you know, if it's the 7th inning and you're down 1 with a man on first, yeah, I'd still walk him. You know, I'd still put him on. You know, because at that point you're already down. You know, especially if you have 1 out and you're looking for a double play. But I'm not putting guys on with no outs and nobody on in a 0-0 game. I'm not giving you a free base runner. Yeah, I'm not. But.
I am. Every time there was a runner and first base open, Blue Jays manager walked Cal Raleigh as well. Well, not every time. Cal Raleigh's got to learn to strike out less. I just think, especially if Gino Suarez is going to be in that lineup, you've got to put bats on balls. You cannot. Cal Raleigh cannot continue to strike out at this clip because it absolutely is paralyzing to that lineup when he strikes out as much as he does. Mm-hmm. Hey, Tone, truth is UW more likely to lose their coach. Jedfish isn't committed to UW. Huskies be looking for a new coach next season. Oh, I don't think so. Lanning is not legit source to be a number 1 target for Oh, I totally disagree. I think I have talked to enough people. I think, you know what the issue is at Oregon is, and we can get into it. I think when you look at Dan Lanning, I think I don't think. He was the first name on their list at LSU. No doubt about it. The issue with Dan Lanning is he's pretty much made it known that it will cost the entire U.S. Mint to get him to leave Oregon to go to LSU. And immediately what that does is that puts Oregon in a position to ask, well, then how bad do you really want the job? Because I think Oregon's in a position here where they cannot take a risk.
LSU.
It's why, what's that?
LSU.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is in a position where they cannot take a risk. And it's why, as we reported first right here on this show, they're not going to include coordinators in their first round of targets. You're not going to see the Garrett Rileys or the Will Steins in those conversations right now. And I think there is no question you're going to see. I still maintain that they have already tested the water on Nick Saban. They are, and I think what LSU's strategy here, I don't even think this is breaking news or rocket science. They are going to take a medium size, not a small, not an extra long, but a medium size U-Haul truck and fill it with $100 bills. And they're going to park it on Nick Saban's driveway. And I think they're going to say to Nick Saban, hey, might want to go to Miss Terry because we got to have a conversation now. He's going to say no. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He's going to say no. The problem for Dan Lanning is when you go about it the way that Dan Lanning has allegedly gone about it, which I am told is, hey, pay me $1 gazillion and we can have a conversation. They're not going to, that is to me, that says you don't want the job. You don't value LSU. And I think if you're LSU, you can't take the risk. And Dan Lanning's in this very precarious spot where I think he knows he has it really good at Oregon. I think he knows it's comfortable at Oregon. But I think Dan Lanning wants to coach in the SEC. I've heard repeatedly from multiple sources that Dan Lanning would have taken the Alabama job if it wasn't replacing Nick Saban. And I've talked about that. I talked about it at the time I was told that. I had a conversation with a guy the other day who said Dan Lanning would have loved to have taken that job. He's got ties to the SEC. He's got ties to Georgia, Bama, the South. Like, he is the absolute right guy. I think the issue is Dan Lanning has it really easy in Eugene. There's not a lot of pressure on him as far as a college coach is concerned. And right now, being a college coach is very miserable. There's not a lot of pressure on Dan Lanning because they've won enough. He's brought in talent, to be sure. To go from Oregon to LSU, I mean, you're basically going from your feet up on the sofa to walking through hot coals every day for a living. And I think there's probably hesitation in Dan Lanning to do that because he has a very easy existence at Oregon. He is the king of the castle. He is paid very well. And it's interesting. I don't know how much money it would take, but I do believe that LSU is going to make an exorbitant offer to somebody. I think they will pay somebody $15 to $17 million a year to coach that football team next year. And if Dan Lanning says no to $15 to $17 million a year to stay at Oregon, who is going to call him? No, the next time a big job comes up, next time Alabama's open, and that's probably now multiple years, I would think, especially if Ty Simpson wins the Heisman, it'll be multiple years because I think Kalen DeBoer is doing a hell of a job. But if you're Alabama and Dan Lanning didn't want the LSU job, I think people will begin to question how much Dan Lanning wants to coach at the very top of college football.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's no doubt that that's part of the conversation. I also think that, it's important to understand that, I'm assuming that Oregon is going to match, or raise his pay depending on the offers that he will get, obviously. So there's this dynamic at play where Dan, in a sense, is going to get paid either way. Not obviously as much as he'd get paid at LSU, but there's value to, hey, I've already got a good setup. I'm just going to get a raise here and we'll be fine. And everyone always wants to spin it as, Dan and his family and, doesn't want to move his family. And that, he's just really like set up in Eugene and he is. I'm sure he is, dude. I'm sure that it's nice. But I think that you just have to be careful here if you're Dan to not come off like, frankly, like, an arrogant a-hole about it, right? Like, hey, I'm not even going to consider it unless it's just, out of this world money. I think that while I understand that on some level, I think you have to be careful not rubbing people the wrong way and sending the wrong message, because I don't think that Dan, just based on, what we see of him in the media and on the sidelines and, just knowing his personality a little bit, like, I don't think that Dan is the guy that's looking for, cushy per se. I think that he does have it comfortable in Eugene. But I think what Dan, doesn't want to do is take a risk in going to LSU when he already has access to everything at Oregon. And
see, I don't think he has access to. I don't think he has access to everything. He's got national championship access. It's on him to go and get the talent. He has access to a national championship. I think recruiting to Eugene, and again, conversations I have seriously asked two angles of this Dan Lanning question. Because the one thing that Oregon fan has routinely said is, oh, well, we've got Nike money. LSU's got far more resources financially than Nike money. Money is not going to be the overwhelming factor. He's going to get paid at Oregon and he's going to get paid at LSU. The money is not even a conversation, right? Because remember, he's not an NFL guy. So it's not like LSU has to send draft picks, right? This is a financial deal. Every coach has a buyout. There's reasons for that. It is what it is. The money is not going to be the issue here. What I'm telling you is there is a low level of belief that if Dan Lanning leaves Oregon, that they can recover from that loss. And I think that when we talk about access and winning a national championship, Oregon's had a ton of talent, but never enough talent. And what's Dan Lanning's biggest problem right now? As good of a recruiter as Tosh Lapoy is, as good of a recruiter as Dan Lanning is, as two of the best defensive minds in college football, what's their biggest problem right now? They don't rush the quarterback. So he's got the offense, right? He's got the quarterback. He's, by most accounts, got the offensive line. Does Dan Lanning have the ability to recruit the top defensive talent in the country to Eugene, Oregon?
If you asked him that question, I think he would say yes. I do.
If you ask my mom if I'm cute, she's going to say yes.
Right?
Right?
I mean, if we're talking about where Dan's going to go, right? If we're talking about what the right decision is, I think it's important to understand that, hey, well, Dan is obviously the one making the decision. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's a lot easier to get talent to LSU than it is to Oregon. I really don't even think that that's that controversial of a conversation. I don't think that it's hard to understand why it would be easier to get kids to go to Baton Rouge than it would be to go to Eugene. I just don't think that that's that hard to understand. And the problem is that what I believe Dan is doing is Dan is saying, okay, well, yeah, obviously the money's going to be there either way. Okay, cool. But beyond that, hey, I'm Dan Lanning. We got to the CFP, but we got our doors blown off by Ohio State. Not a competitive performance on our part, and that's on us as coaches or whatever. Cool. But if Dan really looks at his football program and understands where they are, it should be a very concerning and like, shot over your bow type situation, that Indiana came to your place and made you look soft. They made you look weak. They pushed you around. They ran on you. They did anything they wanted to do against your defense. And so the only real question here is Dan's belief in his ability to get kids to come to Eugene. And if Dan believes that, he can win a national championship at Oregon, and maybe his mindset is, hey, well, it's, I'm not going to leave unless it's, Bama or whatever opportunity it is. And that, I guess, is not LSU. Then it's going to be difficult for LSU to get him. And he's probably going to rub people the wrong way in the SEC because I think most people are in your camp that LSU is a better opportunity. And that's what I think is difficult, is that, it's like these guys have their mindsets about their situation. And it's like, how do you get him out of that besides paying him a lot of money?
Because it's that it is, with all due respect, I just don't think that's a conversation that's happening. I think Dan Lanning doesn't view Oregon as a place where he needs to leave. But if it's just you, Dan Lanning, and a couple glasses of Irish whiskey, Dan Lanning could go to LSU and win a national championship. I have no doubt about that. I don't believe he can win a national championship at Oregon. I think it is lightning in a bottle with how much money is being spent. And you look at LSU's football roster is, $20 million deep? That's a coaching problem. They don't have a talent procurement problem. They have a coaching problem. They had and I hate this word, culture problem. Brian Kelly was a problem. Dan Lanning comes in there. He immediately fixes that. But the problem is, I don't think Dan Lanning wants that challenge. I don't. I think whoever takes that job, and I think after what I've heard today, I think it's Lane Kiffin. They're all in on Lane Kiffin. I think if Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, they are instantly a national championship caliber program a year from now, right now. Next October 28th, LSU will be, because he's going to portal. He's already shown you Lane Kiffin's a dominant portal coach. He's already, whether it's Jackson Dart, whoever you want to point to. He is a dominant recruiter, he's a dominant talent evaluator, and Lane Kiffin understands the South. That's what you need at LSU. Dan Lanning's the guy who should get that job. Dan Lanning, I don't think, wants that challenge. And I'm disappointed in that, because Oregon fans are going to tell you, well, we have the money. Anybody telling you they have the money is grasping at straws, because they know they don't have the talent. And I 100% believe location is why Oregon will not win a national championship, will not consistently contend for a national championship. I think in a one-off universe, Oregon can win a national championship.
Yeah,
but I also wonder if Dan Lanning were to leave Oregon, who replaces him? I don't know either, because I think that is a very challenging job. And I think we saw it with Mario Cristobal. I think there was shock when Mario Cristobal left Oregon. Oregon did not see that coming. I don't believe Oregon saw that coming from the folks I've spoken to. I don't think they believed that Mario Cristobal would leave. And he left. And not only did he leave, he went to a program that they viewed as a step down at Miami. Rightly, wrongly, whatever that might be. They viewed Miami as a step back. And the problem is now Mario Cristobal has Miami in a much better position than Dan Lanning has Oregon. Mario Cristobal is closer to a national championship than Dan Lanning is today. That's just facts. It's hard to argue that. Now, he's also in the ACC, but isn't the ACC a much more difficult path to the college football playoff right now than is the Big Ten? I mean, I would have to say it is, because you look at what Virginia's done, you look at where Louisville is, you look at where Miami is, right? Like it's not an easy road to the college football playoff in the ACC. And I think Mario Cristobal's done a better than expected job of getting Miami to this position much more quickly than anybody thought. And I think the biggest issue is when you look at Tech, Georgia Tech, obviously, Virginia, who's third in that league right now? I want to say that it's Louisville. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody, but here, no, there. Oh, Pitt. I'm forgetting Pitt.
Yeah.
You look at that league right now. Miami's not in first place. Miami's not in second place. And frankly, until Louisville loses another game, Miami's not in third place. But they're on the doorstep of the college football playoff. That's the harsh reality that Oregon fans simply don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I guess I think what I think is hard with that is that Dan's already been and Mario is still trying, right? I mean, we can't just ignore that. I know he got his doors blown off again. I'm not, it wasn't even competitive.
That's
but,
one way to say it.
I mean, you got embarrassed. Let's just be real. But I don't know. I mean, they're not like super far off in the rankings. Miami's at 10 right now. Oregon's 6. I mean, it's not like you're miles apart. Oregon's got their 7th win. You're obviously going to be looking for that here next week.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know. I largely feel about this conversation. Like, I agree with you that people view the LSU job as a better job. Like it's the SEC. Like,
do you?
I do. Because it's the SEC. I think if you win in the SEC, it's the pinnacle of the sport. With all due respect to the Big Ten, and I love what Ryan Day's done. I think Ryan Day has done an incredible job recovering from the "hey, we need to fire Ryan Day" chapter in his tenure there. And obviously, going and winning that national championship is just incredible work. But I think that if you come out of the SEC, you win the conference, and then you go and win a national championship, it's another level up. And so I guess it does come down to what path Dan wants to take and what challenge he's looking to take on, because I don't view Dan as someone who is certainly avoiding any type of challenge, but it does come to my mind, like, dude, at what point do you say, yeah, like, I would have more access to bodies in Baton Rouge? Because that's what this comes down to. I mean, Dan is 39. He does get out coached sometimes. I think that's what happened in the Indiana game.
Everybody gets out coached sometimes. Dan Lanning is a really good recruiter. But this is the same thing I'll say about Penn State. It's very difficult. You live in Eugene. I don't have to explain this. It's very difficult to overcome Eugene when you're talking about millions of dollars. Do I want millions of dollars to play at Death Valley, or do I want millions of dollars to play at Autzen? When I get the same gear and I get, like, there's no question that LSU is a better experience all around for a college football player than Oregon is. That's not saying Oregon sucks. It doesn't. That's not saying Autzen sucks. It doesn't. We've both been to Autzen. You're well aware of the game day environment there. But if you're going to drop me for LSU and Alabama in Death Valley on a game day, a night game in Baton Rouge, forget it. There's not a conversation to be had. What I'm telling you is it's a much easier, I think, aggregation of talent in Baton Rouge than it is in Eugene. And I think Dan Lanning is acutely aware of the current culture that coaches exist in college football, which is win right now or we're going to fire you.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying Brian Kelly $800,000 a month not to coach football. Let that sink in. $800,000 a month not to coach football.
If you're Dan Lanning, is that an environment you want to put yourself in, given the environment you're in now?
And I don't know how you can say that it's a different answer. Because again, and this is the best about Oregon and the worst about Oregon. It's a very good job. You're not likely to get fired, but you're also not likely to win a national championship. It's the reality of it. You got your ass kicked by Indiana, and not closely. They manhandled you. They took you in the alley and they beat the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And you had nothing. And again, did it end their season? No, because it's the Big Ten. But right now, you need help to get to the college football playoff. That is simply the reality. And what is Oregon, 6th in the country right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look at Oregon's schedule, Oregon's got they're at Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Washington. Those are 4 games that I would expect Oregon to win. And I just am curious, how does 21-7 over Wisconsin happen? Well, Dante Moore, you worry about his health a little bit now. And, how do you only throw for 132 yards? Well, that's why you only scored 21 points. I worry about that a little bit. I worry about the fact that you don't get after the quarterback's ass. But worry about that a little bit. I worry about that USC game, specifically because you don't get after the quarterback's ass.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the backfield. You're not a tackle for loss team. And when you look at that game, and I understand it's 3 weeks away or whatever, 4 weeks away at this point, 3.5. I think it's the week of Thanksgiving. I'm a little worried about that game. I am. That's at home. It is a massive football game. I cannot say it enough. That is the game that will likely determine one of those two teams' fates. Because at 5-2, SC has no more room for error. You lose again, and they're at Nebraska Saturday. Like, it does not get any bigger than this for SC. And then Northwestern, Iowa, and then you're at Oregon. So you've got massive games coming. Dan Lanning had better bury USC. Because if he does, you feel like they have a really good chance. If he doesn't, you feel like this is going to be another also-ran season at Oregon. And that would be very frustrating. But hey, let's get your comment sections. What do you guys think? Which job would you rather have, Oregon or LSU? I think it depends on what your mental state is, frankly. For me, I'd rather have the LSU job. I want to win national championships regularly. I want to build dynasties. I'm not saying that that's not where Dan is, but it does not seem like he's all in on going to. When you allegedly say to LSU, hey, it's going to take ungodly money to get me to be your head coach, that tells me you don't want to be the head coach at LSU.
Yeah, maybe he's waiting for another opportunity, or maybe he just simply doesn't want to leave. Who knows?
I think that's very interesting. Big Pun, if BK is it's never me, that's the problem. It's always someone else. Well, that's true. When he left Notre Dame, I was ecstatic. He can eat a bag of herpes infested you-know-whats. Okay. And, it's interesting. I love Notre Dame passionately. I want to make love to Notre Dame nightly. Too much? Probably too much.
Yeah.
The point is, you have to understand that Notre Dame is not a job where there's a lot of pressure. Because, like, for instance, everybody saw Marcus Freeman. LSU's got to call Marcus Freeman. For what? Marcus Freeman just signed a huge contract after last season that will keep him tied to South Bend for 5.5 more years. And Marcus Freeman has proved nothing. Marcus Freeman is a risk. LSU ain't taking a risk. LSU is going to hire somebody. And that's why I think it's either Nick. At this point now, I believe it'll be Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin.
And I think Lane Kiffin would be a home run. Obviously.
I think either Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin would be an absolute moonshot.
I would just be really surprised if Nick came out of retirement, dude.
If you pay Nick Saban $20 million a year for the next 3 years to be the head coach, and you cultivate his replacement, that's a deal I would make if I'm the governor of Louisiana. I'm making the deal that puts Nick Saban on the sideline,
Ferrari to Baton Rouge,
and we can do a coach in waiting type thing. right? Like I'm willing to do that. I am willing to do that. I just LSU can't take a risk here. You just can't. You have had a run here where your coaching hires have not been good. The Ogeron situation into Brian Kelly, I think, and this is not shocking, I think Brian Kelly was an abject failure at LSU. It was a terrible hire. He was the wrong guy at the wrong time, and you paid him anyways. And it feels like, this is just my opinion, nobody's told me this, it feels like Brian Kelly was looking for an escape from Notre Dame, and LSU was his escape hatch. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm with Brandon. Again, I'm a passionate Notre Dame fan. Get the hell out. Brian Kelly, legit. Brian Kelly is a low-end P4 or any G5 program. He would be fine he'd be fine at a UCLA. He'd be fine at he'd be a great hire for Oregon State. He'd be a great hire for any G5 university.
Boise State.
Yeah, but I don't want to tie Brian to jobs that aren't open, but he'd be fine at any G5. But you put him in a situation where he's got to build relationships and he's got to ingratiate himself, that ain't going to happen. And again, it's the same thing. If you listen to the alumni bases at Notre Dame and LSU, it's like they all talked and wrote a script together. Brian Kelly doesn't want to ingratiate himself. Brian Kelly doesn't care about history. He wants to write his own history. He doesn't want to talk about this or that. It's Brian Kelly. Look what Brian Kelly did for LSU. Look at all the games we won at Notre Dame. Well, you didn't win the biggest ones. That's why Dan Lanning's such a great coach. Because Dan Lanning never makes it about Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is always talking about his players, current and former. Dan Lanning is always talking about his coordinators. Dan Lanning is always talking about history. He's always talking about tradition. He's always talking about... It's why Oregon is so fortunate to have hired Dan Lanning. Because he's what you want in a football coach. And he wins games. Now, did that happen in the playoff? No. Did that happen against Indiana? No. But if Notre Dame was looking for a coach and Dan Lanning was the hire, I would jump for joy. Because he's a phenomenal coach. He is a really, really good coach. Miami has all the talent, but still loses because you don't have a quarterback there. And I know my guy Rock and Rant wholeheartedly disagrees with me. I've warned you about Carson Beck. Cristobal brought a lot of talent to Oregon, kept losing the important games because and again, Oregon Duck fan, please don't lose your mind. The problem in Oregon is there's a glass ceiling. Because you don't have tradition. It's not like you've consistently won and you've won championships and we've done this and we've done that. The uniforms are great. Phil Knight's cool. I get all the Jordans I want. Yeah, I get all that at every other university too. Right? And I continue to tell you this. Go look at the swag they get at UCLA. Is there any university that does better in swag than UCLA right now? There's really not. There's a couple. Oregon, North Carolina, Florida, and UCLA all have unbelievable gear. And you begin to understand it's not about the money for the kids because they're all getting paid no matter where they sign on the dotted line. And it ain't like Oregon's not paying people. Yeah. Right. It's not like they're out of money. That's nothing could be further from the truth. Right. Yeah. Nobody's taking a pay cut. None of that. Do players get in trouble off the field at Oregon? No. Do they get great education? Yes. Do they get great Jordans? Yes. Are they on national TV? Yes. Why the fuck don't they win? Because the best talent's not going to Eugene, Oregon. It's not an indictment on Oregon. It's not an indictment on the Ducks or Phil Knight or Dan Lanning. It is what it is. They'd rather go to Baton Rouge. They'd rather go to Gainesville. They'd rather go to Los Angeles and Westwood. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is it's no slight. It just is the reality of where Penn State's located. Penn State and Oregon are in the exact same situation. Why can the knuckle deep boys get so far but not far enough? Because nobody wants to go play there.
So if you're
The
Dan
top
Lanning,
talent.
if you're Dan Lanning, then what are you supposed to do about that? Are you just supposed to, coach the hell out of it, do everything you can, and be good if you don't win at Oregon? Because at some point, I would think a guy like Dan Lanning is going to be hell-bent on winning a national championship. Not that he's not at this point already, but just, when you look at the history of the program.
But it's funny. One of the guys I talked to today about this Lanning LSU situation, because make no mistake about it, LSU would hire Dan Lanning if Dan Lanning wanted to be hired. I have no doubt that if Dan Lanning wanted that job, it would come down to Lane Kiffin versus Dan Lanning. I have no doubt about that. But the problem for Dan Lanning is this will be the second marquee job opening that he said no to. Alabama and now LSU. And I think it's a legitimate question. I understand. Again, I will buy the bullshit going on about, hey, I didn't want to replace Nick Saban.
And I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people understand that.
It makes perfect sense. What's your excuse for not going to LSU? Because now the question has to be asked, do you want to jump into the absolute skin-peeling hot water that is the SEC? Because you don't have the hammer that he's got. He owns the West Coast in recruiting. It is him and Lincoln Riley routinely run into each other on the West Coast. And Dan wins, and Lincoln's got the number one class in the country, right? Dan Lanning's a phenomenal recruiter. So why wouldn't you go to LSU? Because it kind of feels like you don't want the heat. And that's kind of what people are asking, because everybody is, I think there's no question. LSU wants to talk to Dan Lanning. I think when you and I was told today, if you're just tuning into the show, I was told today that Dan Lanning has told LSU it is going to take an astronomical amount of money to get him to take that job. And LSU's reaction, according to my sources, to that thinking is, well, then you don't value our job. Not that they're trying to underpay him. But when one of the first questions they ask is, what are you offering? That's a problem, because it goes without saying. This is when you go to a really fine restaurant where the prices aren't on the menu and you're like, how much is this? So like, yeah, you can't afford it. If you're calling Dan Lanning, and if you're calling Lane Kiffin, and if you're calling Nick Saban, you don't care what the price is. You're going to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So for Dan Lanning to say, well, what are you offering? That's problematic, because what that says is, holy shit, it's LSU. I'm taking that phone call. Well, that's not what Dan Lanning said. Hey, LSU, yeah, how much are you going to pay me? If that's in fact what happened, I think that's a huge mistake from Dan Lanning. That is the wrong answer. LSU would like to talk to LSU, because from what it appears to me through my sources, LSU essentially said, hey, intermediary, can you let Dan know we're interested? What's the temperature from him to us? How interested is he? And his interest level is, how much are you going to pay? That's not the right answer. Allegedly, if that's what happened.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's it. That is the wrong tack to take in that conversation. And I think you have to ask real questions about Dan Lanning's want to compete. And
yeah, I mean,
you're willing to stay somewhere that's never won a national championship and consistently in the history of college football has disappointed. At the very end, right? You finally got the 6-foot blonde. She is hot, she is ready, and you're not. That's what this comes down to. And Dan is choosing to stay in Oregon, at Oregon. That's an issue. I was stationed at Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana. It was known as the armpit of the Army. Only good thing was you could take a drive and get both great freshwater and saltwater fishing. There you go.
Nice.
There you go. The smell of petroleum in the air all day long, that's Baton Rouge. But where else do you want to be a college football coach? Because notice nobody's complaining about the LSU job. Nobody's like, oh, that job sucks. Who wants to smell petroleum in the air all day? Never heard that one before.
Yeah, nobody's complaining about all the extra night games that ABC gives LSU.
Yeah. Hey, Thon, I'm just happy we didn't end up with Wilcox as the head coach. Wow. Okay. I want USC to win out the rest of the season. That'd be great for Notre Dame. That would be huge for Notre Dame. Ted Lasso for LSU football. Okay. Played for Natty since 1998. Yeah, I saw the stat on Feinbaum somewhere. LSU 4, Florida 2, Oregon 2, Penn State 0. 1 Natties. 98, LSU 3, Florida 2, Oregon 0, Penn State 0. This access to the national championship, I think, is fascinating because I don't believe access or ability. Of course, you have access to the national championship at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Will you ever be talented enough to win it?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question for Dan Lanning, and I guess this conversation is hard because I think that it's one of the only conversations we'll ever have where it comes down to, you know, how Dan wants to go about his career. I mean, honestly, I mean that's really hard to, you know, most of the time we're sitting here talking about, you know, a guy's ability to shoot a jump shot or like this guy's ability to do this or that. But like the reality is, you know, yeah, if it is true, everything you said about, you know, the answer to LSU and like, you know, him kind of sending that message that it's, you know, it's about getting paid a lot of money and everything. If that's true, yeah, he is running the risk of rubbing people the wrong way. And I would say that you haven't run the risk. You probably have rubbed people the wrong way.
You probably have.
You're probably there. However, it also needs to be said that, you know, let's say that Lane Kiffin takes the LSU job. You're telling me Florida's not calling Dan Lanning? You're telling me that other people aren't going to inquire about his availability?
No, I think the question is, if you don't take the LSU job, why are you taking the Florida job?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge question because I think, and maybe this comes down to the argument you guys we've had for 2 weeks here on the show. What's the best available job?
Right now, it's got to be LSU. I mean, I just don't even think that's.
I don't even think it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I think it is LSU. And I'm talking about when I say best available job, good pay, good environment, ability to win a national championship. I think it is LSU 1. I think it is Florida 2. And I think then it gets very interesting because, I mean, I'm going to tell you, you have no chance to win a national championship at Oklahoma State. You have no chance. Like, that's the kind of job where you're just not going to be able to get enough talent and depth in your own conference.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone job, no question about it.
So if we look at, I don't know. I still think Stanford's the third best available job. I think Penn State's probably fourth. I guess maybe I don't understand. I was told today that Arkansas is the second best available job. that it's a better job than Florida, which I think is outlandish.
Was there a reason given?
That the money that Jerry Jones is going to invest in Arkansas through his companies is going to change the game. And I don't buy it. I don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it. I just don't.
Yeah, got to see it before we believe it.
I think it's LSU 1, Florida 2. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if these are the only open jobs, do I want Arkansas or do I want Stanford? I think I think Stanford is a good job. I don't think you can get the talent to win a national championship. But can you get the talent to Arkansas to win a national championship?
We got money.
If you got money, sure. I think fourth is Penn State. And I think that fifth would probably be Virginia Tech. Sixth is probably UCLA. I just think it's going to take a long curve there. And that's going to be a job that the best offensive coordinator in the country gets. And it depends, because the other question here is, what other jobs open up? If Lane Kiffin gets fired at SC, now we're having a conversation. I think, that if Dabo leaves Clemson, now we're having a conversation, right? Because would it be outrageous to think Clemson after this disaster of a season?
No.
I think that's interesting. And then when we look at Eli Drinkwitz, I think Eli's getting one of these jobs. How good a job is Missouri?
Yeah, I mean he's third on the stack, depending on what Dan's willing to take and what he's not willing to take. And that's the thing of that's why I maintain, when I look at these different programs and when all these different schools are talking about firing their coaches and stuff, I look at it and I'm like, dude, before LSU fired Brian Kelly, you can't tell me they didn't have a totem pole of candidates. Hey, Lane would be our number 1, Dan's our number 2, Drinkwitz is number 3, or whatever it might look like for them, whatever they thought. But I think that you have to be prepared to spend a lot and really get after it to get a candidate, because the thing you talk about being risk averse, I agree that hiring a guy who is really concerned about how much you're paying him definitely comes with risk, no question about it. At the same time, though, if you're LSU, you can't afford to enter yourself in this process of firing your coach to rehire a coach without being willing to make a no doubt about it, offer. I mean, you just have to put guys in a position where it's they can't say no to get this done, because you are LSU. And so I'm of the belief that LSU, because they're such a big job, needs to be the bully in the room and needs to say, okay, hey, Lane, here we go. You just came out the other day and said it ain't about money, but we all know that's a bunch of crap. Here's a ton of money. Here's a bunch of resources. Come to Baton Rouge. Let's get the job done.
I just think LSU, the minute they hire Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin, or Nick Saban, their talent just explodes. You are instantly, because again, let's pretend it is Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning has the best offensive mind on his staff. I love Will Stein.
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal.
And a great developer.
You're instantly in the game for the best quarterbacks in the portal, because you're going to need one at LSU. I think you are their defense has got to get better. Is it poor coaching or is it a lack of talent? Either one, it doesn't matter. Dan Lanning's a phenomenal flipping defensive coach. So you're going to get an influx of talent. It's what Marcus Freeman has done at Notre Dame. You instantly got better credibility with defensive recruits, portal and high schoolers. I just think LSU to me this year has looked untalented. And I think if you hired Lanning, Kiffin, or Saban, boom, talent magnet.
There was just no fire in the program.
You instantly come up, right? Yeah, I think you instantly come up. I think if you're Florida and you hire Lane Kiffin, you instantly come up. If you hire Eli Drinkwitz, you instantly raise offensive talent. Like you just get exponentially more talented. And Mario Cristobal, exponentially more talented at Miami. You were able to get Carson back. You look at just how transformative the schemes have been on both sides of the ball. Like that's the kind of boomerang. And this is again why I say it's imperative for Oregon. And I'm told they're already talking about a historically large extension with Dan Lanning at Oregon. And I am also told that Dan Lanning's kind of been like, okay, can we finish the football season here? Like, because remember, Dan Lanning isn't a Jimmy Sexton client. So I think Oregon has to find a way to hang on to Dan Lanning. That's number one. Number two, I think there's got to be probably half a dozen more jobs that open up. And then the boomerang effect of, well, Eli Drinkwitz went here, and how good a job is Ole Miss after Lane Kiffin defecated all over that place and absolutely blew it up and turned it into a perennial power in the SEC. You know how hard it is going to be to follow Lane Kiffin and his hot-ass daughter at Ole Miss? That's not a job I want. That is not a job I want. And I continue to tell you guys, and I know that you don't want to hear it. Eli Drinkwitz is one of the hottest candidates in college football because he's just doing the job. I'm really curious if let's play the what if game. If Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning stays at Oregon, Lane Kiffin goes to Florida. Does Ole Miss call Jedd Fisch as soon as they can? Because I don't disagree with the commenter from before. I think Jedd Fisch is a candidate to move this offseason.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's a forever job for him.
But I'm really curious. I'm really, really curious. If you're Ole Miss, would you rather have Garrett Riley or would you rather have Jedd Fisch?
Garrett Riley.
I think I'd rather have Garrett Riley. I would agree with that. And my biggest question is, and this was posed to me today, which one of these head coaches hires John Gruden to be either their GM or their offensive guy?
One of the teams in the SEC. He won't go to another conference. He wants to be in the SEC.
I think there's a chance that he's, and I haven't independently confirmed it, but I've heard that Arkansas and him have had some conversations on some level. What that looks like, I don't know. But again, I also think Auburn, everybody keeps talking about Auburn hiring John Gruden. That's not a risk they can take.
No.
Because I think Auburn's going to fire Hugh Freeze.
I mean,
Hugh, did we? I don't know.
Yes.
We do have that tape. Hugh Freeze today. Listen to Hugh Freeze talking. Great job, Jake. Listen to Hugh Freeze talking about his Auburn situation.
Coach, last night we got news that LSU is the third SEC team to move on from their head coach midseason here. You've advocated to be the one to, in your words, get this fixed here at Auburn. Since the win on Saturday, have you had a chance to catch up with John Cohen about where you stand and where the program stands and what you need to get it done?
No, I haven't. He was obviously excited for our win, and we celebrated together for a moment there on the field. But I don't get into those conversations. But I've been here just short of 3 years, and is the program better than when I got here on the roster? Yes. Are we close? Yes. And I've won everywhere I've been, and I believe with all my heart we're going to win big here. But my focus needs to be not on anything other than how do I help these young men grow this week as players and as young men, and how do I help our staff become even more united than they are, and they're pretty dang united. So that's where my focus lies.
Do you buy it, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the truth is that these guys have conversations with their their ADs and their management, several times a week. I I think that it would be foolish to believe that Hugh Freeze hasn't had any conversations or didn't have the question was, did you have a conversation after the win? Dude, the guy has ongoing conversations with everybody in the building and everybody in the program.
The entire Auburn family.
Yeah, the entire Auburn family. Exactly. And
Family.
I appreciate Hugh's ability to, play the game a little bit. And I appreciate that he's willing to say that he still believes that he can make a difference. But the reality is winning cures all problems, and they haven't won enough. And yes, you just won.
Agree.
But you, in my opinion, Auburn is waiting for you to lose again to axe you.
But I don't even think it's that. You know what I think the biggest problem for Hugh Freeze at Auburn is? The LSU job's open, the Florida job's open, the Ole Miss job's going to be open. A bunch of hot, new, sexy coaches are coming into the conference, and they're going to steal your talent. They're going to steal other people's talent, and you're going to stand still or go backward. That's the biggest problem for Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze had it in a moment where, and he's right, how many years he's been there now? Can we all honestly sit here and say that Auburn's a better program because Hugh Freeze is their head coach? Probably. But is that what anybody's trying to do, is just be a better program? No, we're not. We're trying to win national championships. And as delusional as Auburn is, and Auburn fans are, they think they have a chance to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just...
But again, if you're Auburn and you're going to fire Hugh Freeze, who are you going to go and get? Because because everyone's just waiting for the LSU domino to fall, right? Is it Lane or is it Dan? Right? That's what we're waiting for. And, if you shot in the dark Nick Saban, okay, cool. All right. I think people would be surprised by that. But we've seen stranger things happen. So I think if you're Auburn or Ole Miss or any of these clubs, you're sitting here saying, all right, is it Lane or is it Dan? And how does that impact our situation? Because if we're going to fire Hugh Freeze, who's going to be our list? We're not going after Dan Lanning. He ain't coming to Auburn, right? He ain't doing that. So we're going after, we're going after Garrett Riley. We're going after Drinkwitz. We're going after these other guys. I don't think James Franklin is a fit at Auburn. So I just don't like Auburn's a unique situation.
Yeah, I think it's a huge problem. I just don't think Auburn's another one of those programs who has access, but I don't know that they can. And it's somebody like a Scam Newton that you have to get that's over the top better to take you home.
Auburn is season wrecker program. That's what they are.
Big Ponic for $5. Oregon is either going to match or demand compensation to let Lanning go. Well, you have a buyout, right? So somebody's going to have to pay that buyout. Either way, Lanning is going to get paid. I would agree with that. Joey Harper, a member for 25 months. Appreciate that, Joseph. Thank you. How long is Vanderbilt going to be able to keep Clark Lee? I think for a long time. Because Clark Lee is not going to be a guy that'll be in the conversations for the Floridas, LSU's, Ole Miss. Sure.
Potentially.
Yeah. Ole Miss, certainly, I think. Would. There's no doubt about that. Oh, look at that. Stadium guy TCU James is here. I agree with Joe Harper. Clark Lee is a great candidate for these big jobs. He's not, though. LSU, Florida, and Auburn gets rid of Hugh Freeze. I could see Clark Lee going to Auburn. Bama isn't going to hire him. A Georgia, again, and I know every Commodore fan is probably going to crap themselves, but it's Vanderbilt football. It's not LSU. It's not Bama. It's not Georgia.
I would remind you talked a bunch of junk on Bama, and then they beat that ass. So
who did we add to TCU James's tombstone yesterday? I can't remember who it was, but we added somebody to your tombstone yesterday who you said nice things about, and then they died. Oh, I remember. Cooper Flagg injured his shoulder now. Guy's having a terrible start to his season. Congratulations. And if we didn't, that's who it is today. When do they act?
God of death.
That's right. When do they actually make a decision on Lane or Dan? They're making it now.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people this, and nobody believes me. Anybody who's telling you, well, Dan Lanning's not going to have these conversations, he's focused on Oregon Duck football. Yeah, you goddamn mind. You're out of your mind. You think Lane Kiffin's not talking to Florida already through Jimmy Sexton?
This is why we have agents, even when we tell the public we don't have an agent.
They're already happening. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and when Lane is sitting on Pat McAfee's show, bro, when Lane's sitting on Pat McAfee's show making Jimmy Sexton jokes, I think he's telling you without telling you that, yeah, we're there are conversations being had at a minimum.
I've never made a decision based off of money, nor will I. And
Love that.
For a lot of people, they're just like, well, money and it does this and does that. I've seen too many examples in life where money does not buy happiness. So I am never going to make a decision off of money, nor do I care about it. And
it's good to have.
Jimmy Sexton gets really mad when I say that.
He's got enough.
We got to get this. We got to get this. And I'm like, Jimmy, I don't care. And he goes, I do.
He said, that's why I'm here. Of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that Lane's having conversations.
Yeah, don't tell me dude's not in the market. Come on.
I'd hire Lane Kiffin tomorrow, dude. Yeah. I think he's completely remade himself, and I think at one point,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with the people
please
who say
interrupt me again. Go for it. Yeah.
I agree with the people who's saying that he's got red ass Steve Spurrier vibes in him if he were to take the Florida job. I think that there are definitely shades of that in the Lane Kiffin swag.
I think Lane Kiffin wants to win every goddamn trophy available. And that's why I love the guy. I think you guys, I am stupidly competitive. Stupidly competitive. And I don't care if it's loud farting or putting a golf ball or winning a football game. I want to win everything. And I want my coach to want to win every rep in every practice, in every football game, every warm-up, every push of the I want to win it all. And if you don't, you're not my guy. And that's what I love about Lane. Lane Kiffin doesn't want to hear about it. Lane Kiffin doesn't want to talk about it. Lane Kiffin wants to win the whole damn thing. And if you don't, you're just not the right fit. And I think Lane Kiffin going to Florida I think that is the best fit. Honest to goodness, I think Dan Lanning's the best fit at LSU, and I think Lane Kiffin's the best fit at Florida. I don't even, you guys, I don't even have a doubt that if you're the SEC, those are the two that start. I think Eli Drinkwitz at Auburn is a phenomenal hire. And I think Garrett Riley to Ole Miss is a phenomenal hire. I think Clark Lee to Clemson is a phenomenal hire. Like, I'm a big believer that there are fits and certain guys and personality traits. Dan Lanning is a home run at LSU. He is an absolute home run. And then when Dan Lanning leaves, Will Stein takes over the program in Oregon. And you do not miss a beat. It's the perfect fit.
Yeah.
The perfect fit. There's nothing else to talk about. And if I'm LSU, if Nick Saban doesn't want to be my head coach, how about I pay you instead of $20 million a year? I was legitimately told today they're going to offer Nick Saban $20 million a year for 3 years.
Nick Saban is a better man than you are.
$20 million a year. They'll give you $7 million more to hire a general manager. Like, you're talking about $50, $60 million a year in coaching salaries.
That's the bottom line.
Oh, they got Nike money in Oregon, Monty. I'm going to say they have more than Nike money at LSU. But anyway, here nor there. I think then you just look at the rebound effect across college football when these jobs are opening, and you look at this guy going here and that guy going there, dude. And I think it would be crazy Crazy. But I think Matt Rule to Penn State. And I don't think, now this is just my opinion, I think Brian Hartline doesn't get the Penn State job. I think he gets the Nebraska job. And again, that's not my thinking. I've heard that if Matt Rule goes to Penn State, because I don't think Brian Hartline wants to go and coach Penn State. I don't think he wants that job. I think he would take the Nebraska job. My opinion is that Hartline would be a phenomenal fit in Lincoln because the guy is a dog recruiter, an absolute dog recruiter.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Smith, Creole voodoo money. Yeah, dude, they got it in triplicate. Money. Competitive fish throwing at Pike Marketplace tomorrow on the show. Dude, it's so amazing down there. I took my beautiful bride and my puppy for a walk. We tend to go on walks after the show. And Mrs. Monty and I are walking through Seattle last night, and it's just so lovely to just enjoy the city sounds and the fresh air. The difference between air quality living next to the water and living in the mountains, completely different feeling. It is the fresh air in Seattle when you're not inundated with marijuana smoke is amazing. Hope Lane goes to LSU just because the locker room talk that would take place about daughter dating a player unless he's a senior. My God. Can you even imagine that? I think LSU thinks they are Bama. Dan Lanning is not leaving for LSU. Oregon's a better job. Anybody telling you Oregon's a better job than LSU don't know ball. I'm guessing you're an Oregon fan, and I get it, my guy.
With all due respect,
I get it. I don't think in anybody's universe that Oregon's a bad job, but there's Oregon, and then you're talking about LSU, who's on a completely different plane than Oregon. It just, you don't have access to the talent that you need. It has plagued Oregon for years, and everybody keeps, and again, I'll just keep saying this. Oh, we got Nike money, Monty. Okay, everybody's got Nike money. All of the major programs, money is not, unless you're, who's the cheaps, like it's what keeps Oklahoma State from being significant in even wiping their own ass, because they don't spend money on toilet paper. They cut coaches' salaries. Like you cannot be Iowa State and tell me that you're a better program or on par with, because you're not. You're not. And I look at certain jobs in this country, Ohio State, Notre Dame, certainly LSU, Bama, Georgia, Oregon. Money is not a conversation. Hey man, I need new Louis leather for my kids' lockers. Okay, great. Give me some dimensions. I'll have my guy show up tomorrow. Done. Right? Like it just doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. How many times do we joke about SRTs at Georgia? They're legitimately driving $100,000 cars. Like the money's not the issue, dude. Like, yeah, it's access to the talent that's required to win a national championship. You don't have it at Oregon because Oregon's in Eugene. The University of Oregon is in Eugene, Oregon. I think it's the single biggest issue.
Yeah. And he's got good recruiting classes. It's just not, it's just not good enough.
How wild would it be for James Franklin you would want James Franklin? Would Jim Knowles go back to Stillwater? I'm begging you at some point, aim higher. You're talking about wanting a coach who can't beat the best opponents he plays. You're wanting Mike Gundy 2.0. Like, why do he can't win big games? He cannot win big games. Hartline would look good at Oregon too. Maybe. You know. King of Thailand. Hello, sir. Boy, you're just weeks away now, aren't you? Oak State James, I can see Franklin and Stillwater. Oof. Weed, salt, air, and fish aroma. Seattle rocks. Just, I hate that. I shouldn't say this out loud. Knowing the vagrants that are, knowing the thousands of you watching the show right now, I shouldn't say this out loud. I hate the smell of marijuana. I cannot stand walking to, and here in Seattle, they vape it. They have it in these atomizer machine things. It's brutal. I cannot stand it. It just, you know. Steel book. Who's got better talent composite right now? Who gives a flying flip? What does that got to do with anything? Quite legitimate talent composite. So let me get this right. You think because Oregon has a higher scored pool of talent that's a better job? No, what that tells you is Brian Kelly didn't do his job. That's what that tells you. And I just will always go back to this when people run out QBR for the first 7 snaps of a game. Understand how to use information. Right? PFF. And I love my guys at Pro Football Focus. When you look at their talent, the scope of their talent, and the way they grade talent. The best part about this conversation, and I think I was looking at this morning, I think Oregon is 6th, and I think LSU is 7th. Guys are like, and I can look it up, but I think there's almost no separation between the two. And this is strictly, and here's the other problem that guys don't want to talk about, is this is strictly recruiting base. Nobody wins national championships with high school kids. See Ohio State last year with Will Howard and Caleb Downs. Like, you don't win national championships because of your talent composite. And if you did, Georgia and Alabama are almost always number 1 or 2. It's always like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Texas. The talent, I'm not even going to get into it. The talent composite thing is such it tells me you don't understand the difference in what makes or breaks football programs. If talent composite was such an overwhelming metric, why is Oregon so mediocre this year? Why are you unable? And here's the numbers that you don't want to talk about. These are the numbers that
Oregon fan, you make it too easy, bro. You really do. I mean,
this is not an argument you want to have, because it doesn't matter how much talent
y'all got some skeletons in the closet with these stats, and I hate to do this to you guys, but
and I'm just asking, if you have all this talent and you have all of this talent composite, why on defense do you wear a suppository, my guy? Like, you can't rush the quarterback. Oh, but Monty, our talent composite. Bro, quack, quack, bitches.
Okay, so before you drop the stat, right, I just want to put this in perspective so that the stat has full perspective. So this is what Oregon season's been. Everything leading up to the Penn State game, right? So the Penn State game, the lead up to that was Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State. 4 ass teams. Really, really ass teams. We all agree on that. Then you play Penn State to the wire at their place. You win in overtime, great interception. Okay, cool. Terrible decision by average ass Aller and his, broken ass body.
Because he's average ass.
So you beat Penn State. You get dominated by the next best team you play, which is Indiana. Then you light up Rutgers and have an average ass performance against Wisconsin. So the truth is you may be number 6 in the country right now. But and again, I live in Eugene. I see this team week in and week out. I have people inside the walls there, inside the university. We know a bunch of people, right? Like
family.
We got a family. And the reality is, and I hate saying this because I do like me some Dan Lanning. I do. You have lost to the best team that you played. Indiana is superior to Penn State in almost every way. And so then what's going to happen is Monty's about to drop this stat on you, which I already know what stat it is, and you're not going to like it. The reality is you're going to talk about how Oregon leads the nation in the least amount of TFLs, and they don't get sacks, and they don't get pressure. And because of that, when they played a quarterback who actually could read a defense and put the ball where he needed to beat cover 2 and to beat base defense consistently, they lost because you couldn't stop the run and he was throwing over the top on you, which is exactly what we saw at Autzen, where allegedly it never rains. So I just look at the schedule and I'm like, hey, yeah, cool. You can die on your hill of Oregon's the best job ever and everyone loves Eugene. But the reality is Eugene's a tiny speck of sand, and Dan Lanning has taken them about as far as he can take them without more help. That's the reality of the situation. And I like Dan. Dude, I honestly, I loved the Penn State, experience. That was incredible. I watched that game with a bunch of other people. Everyone's all fired up. It was amazing. But notice the hype died down real quick after you got that ass beat by Mr. Google guy. That's the reality of it, dude. So keep bringing out stats about talent composites and QBRs and all this nonsense, dude. I'm telling you.
You're living and dying. You're living and dying on high school kids, which is not how you win championships. And the stats that I'm going to show you about, or I'm going to tell you about, and these are readily available anywhere you want. If you have all this talent, and you've got the talent composite, which doesn't mean dick, then why do you have 13 sacks and 41 pass defended? Do you know that 41 passes defended, the next closest is Purdue at 33? Well,
Monty, doesn't that mean we're playing great defense?
What that means is you don't sack the quarterback. You are third least quarterback pressures in the Big Ten. And you are third least in sacks in the Big Ten. And so the quarterback has all day to stand back there and throw the football. So your secondary has to defend passes. And again, Mr. Steel book guy, you're getting offended. I don't take it personally with Oregon. I'm not a fan of Oregon. What I'm telling you is there's a reason you don't have championships. I talked about this on the show yesterday. There's a reason that the Bellattis and the Chip Kellys and the Mario Cristobals didn't win championships. And Chip Kelly had more assets available to him with Bagman than your guy Dan Lanning has now legally. The bottom line is it's Joey Harrington. It's Marcus Mariota. It's Dante Moore. You have amazing talent. You just don't have enough of it across the board because it's not your number ones that win national championships. Brian Kelly is learning this the hard way. What wins you national championships? Talent composite, Monty. No. Depth. Your 4s, your 5s, your 6. It's not the top 25 in percent. It's not the bottom 25%. It's the middle 50% that wins you a national championship. And Oregon has a historical problem with depth. That's the single biggest, most consistent thing at Oregon. It's not that you don't have stars. It's not that you don't have the Kayvon Thibodeaux of the world. It's not that you don't have the Harringtons, the Mariotas, the Gabriels, the Moores. It's that you don't have the fourth string corner making an interception. You don't have the edge rusher who's filling in for somebody. But it turns out that, and this is the truth of the truth, the third string edge rusher making a sack in the fourth quarter of a game to get you into the conference championship, that's the guy who wins you national championship. Everybody wants to talk about 5 stars, Monty. This kid, Jimmy, with a small cock, but he's got long arms, 5-star recruit.
You're filling in for somebody.
Yeah, they don't win you. That doesn't mean anything, because if your coaches don't develop them, what is a 5-star recruit? So congratulations on your talent composite. And what is that going to get you this year? Because this is the truth. And you don't have to like it, but it's the reality of college football. The guy they hire at LSU is going to buy an F-load of talent, and they're going to compete for an SEC championship next year. And if that's Dan Lanning, you're going to have a very difficult time keeping the bar as high as it is. And the only way you do that is if Will Stein stays and is your head coach, which I think would be a home run. Other than that, it just doesn't.
Oregon fan is not unique in the sense of passion. You guys get all pissed off just like every other fan base does. But what you can't answer is why is it if your what is he saying here? Your blue chip ratio of talent, or your talent composite, or
so your blue chip ratio, the percentage of players on your team that are good enough matters? No. Guy, stop with the high school kid. I get worn out on this because you don't want to have a real world conversation. You're hanging on to high school recruiting. That's what you're living and dying on. Who's the best team in the country right now? Go ahead, say it. It's Ohio State. They have a mix of portal guys and blue chip caliber players. What's Indiana got? Indiana's got a phenomenal amount of portal players, right? I don't know how to make you guys, and you're the Penn State fan who told me that James Franklin was never getting fired. Look at Texas Tech. Look at who's the best team. Look at Georgia Tech. Look at Miami. Look at the best teams in every conference and look how transformative the portal was for them. That's where you win and lose championships right now. And I cannot help but think that if Indiana's not the best example of this, right? If you look at guys and you look at who's their best wide receiver, probably Elijah Sarrett, JMU transfer, right? And now this is his second season in Indiana. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza, who I think has a legitimate chance to win the O'Brien and the Heisman. Fernando Mendoza was a Cal Bear until this year when he became a Indiana Hoosier. Oh, he's a blue chipper, Monty. He's a transfer portal guy. That's how you win. So keep blowing smoke about blue chippers. I don't care.
And by the way, again, the question still remains. You're asking us to answer questions. Why is it that if you have all this talent, you got your doors blown off against Ohio State? And you were not able to match the physicality of Indiana in your own building.
It's stupid shit like this. I just explained this to you. You have a guy in Dante Moore who is from the portal, could win the Heisman, and it doesn't happen because you don't have a defense. You don't have a defense. You can't sack the quarterback. And you're asking, Oregon has taken 2 Heisman finalists out of the portal recently. Woohoo!
Nobody said they sucked in the portal.
What's that got to do with anything? You have to have a mix and depth. I'm done talking to you today. If you want to have a conversation, I'm here for it. I'm not going to keep playing your... It's so ridiculous. Yeah, it's my fault. Why do I feed the hyenas? Why do I do it? I think one of the things that's amazing is Lane Kiffin is the number 1 candidate for every open job. Mm-hmm. Do you guys understand the transformation that this cat has undergone? I was saying this earlier, and I think it's really worth pointing out. He and Steve Sarkisian took the exact same path to the exact same place. Flamed out at USC, had personal problems, went to Nick Saban, took a head coaching job, and now they're competing for national championships.
Up and to the right.
And their talent composites are amazing. I think it's the transformation and the renovation of Lane Kiffin's reputation. I don't know that we've ever seen it in college football before. It is what I think Ed O would love to do, and I just don't think he'll ever get the chance. I think it's what Bill Belichick would love to do, and he'll never get the chance. I think John Gruden would love to do it. I don't know that he'll ever get the chance. If I am Ed Orgeron, if I am John Gruden, go be a coordinator. Take the Chip Kelly route. Go be a coordinator. Go be an offensive coordinator at LSU. Go be a defensive coordinator at wherever. Go be a coordinator because that's your quickest route back to salvation. And I think it is incredible the money that when you look at this rat hair, $800,000 a month. Have you guys looked at coaches' buyouts lately? It is off the chisel when you look at these numbers. And they're all mediocre ass coaches. Like you look at James Franklin and Epstein Island. The Knuckle Deep Boys are paying him $49.7 million not to coach. He was a bad hire when they hired him. And again, I think there are a lot of issues at Penn State. I think where Penn State is, I think a lot of people don't like playing at Penn State. They're going to pay him $49.7 million not to coach. They're going to pay Billy Napier $21 million not to coach. Mike Gundy had a $15 million buyout. They're going to pay Pittman and Foster and all these dudes not to coach ball games. Like, I don't care who you are on this list. Trent Dilfer getting $2.4 million not to coach. Trent Bray getting $4 million not to coach.
Yeah, I need to get into this line of work, dude. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should stop doing the show and start a college football coaching pipeline.
Is this just where we are in college football now? Is this just because we're so impatient? You look at LSU. Could they pretty easily have given Brian Kelly the rest of the season? They could have. But I think he was doing so much damage internally, you had to let him go. But could they have just let him ride? They could have. But they're willing to pay him $800,000 a month not to coach. And after this season, they're willing to pay him and his staff over $100 million not to coach their team anymore. I think that's just the reality of college football. You have to win championships. You not only have to win, you have to be competing for championships. It's good money if you can get it. And I think you're all well aware that you get hired as a football coach to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball manager, football coach, hockey coach, basketball coach, you get hired to get fired. But is this almost hostage taking now?
Basically. I mean, you're I mean, again, it goes back to exactly what you said about, Dan Lanning's alleged response to LSU. Hey, what are you willing to pay me? And this concept of, what's the buyout? What money am I going to be making? Because, for these coaches, especially the ones that are still employed, getting, uprooting and leaving the pipeline you've already built in your program to go to another program. Even if that opportunity is a better opportunity, there's still inherent risk in that, right? I mean, you still got to go and do a job. You still got to go out and get all these kids to agree to come to Baton Rouge and do those things, or Tallahassee, or wherever it might be. And, I think that it is getting to a point where it's not sustainable. I mean, you can't be in a place where you make a bad hire anymore, because the hiring, costs at these, top tier opportunities, these quote unquote blue chip opportunities, you're paying a ton of money. So if you miss on Brian Kelly, you're paying $100 million to get out of it. That's the price that you're going to pay for making that mistake, because it was a mistake. It was a bad hire. So now we get to play the game at LSU where we get to say, okay, cool, we made a mistake. Now who is the candidate that is the no doubt about it, if it flames, no one blames us hire? That's Lane Kiffin, right? That's Lane Kiffin right now. That's, you hire Lane Kiffin, it doesn't work out 5 years from now, no one's going to blame you. Everyone's going to blame Lane, and it's going to be on him. The Dan Lanning thing, I think it would be an 80-20 proposition. 20% on you because of the lack of experience overall in his career, being just 39. And also he hasn't been in the SEC as a head coach. He's off the Nick Saban tree, obviously, and obviously has experience that way, but he's not a 60-year-old person still coaching. He doesn't have just this plethora of experience. And so that's why I say, I do think it's the state of affairs in college football, but eventually the ability to go and get these jobs is going to get to a point where only the top 3% of candidates should even be in these conversations. Like the Eli Drinkwitz of the world shouldn't even be in the LSU conversation. Not that he is, but just, any of these top tier national championship hopefuls shouldn't even, and it's no offense to him, but unless you've been in the CFP, or unless you've been at a place where it's like, no question about it, there are limitations keeping you from it, you would be there. I just don't think you should be in consideration, because schools can't miss anymore.
And I think so many schools now, with the way the education funding has changed, and the absolute destruction of the Department of Education, and there's just so many challenges. I don't know how you have the governor of Louisiana making this decision. That's where we're at in college football. And I look at this, I look at somebody like a Penn State paying James Franklin, LSU paying Brian Kelly. That doesn't matter. They have so much money. What I think is shocking is this trend now is it's getting so deep into college football that it is the Va-Techs, it's the G5s, it's the Oregon States. Think about how much money Oregon State hasn't made in the last 3 years. You think about how much money goes into this sport. It's mind-numbing. And the money they spend to recruit, the money they spend to portal, the money they spend to make sure that kids are passing their classes at BYU, at Notre Dame, these institutions where education comes well beyond, and the difficulty in that. And I just think it's so difficult to compete if you're not willing to pay these buyouts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so difficult to pay these buyouts.
Hasn't it just been raising overall, right? I mean, we had a house settlement, right, with rev sharing with players. So that's 22 million right there. Then you've got the, let's just be reasonable and say $13 million a year, $12 million a year for your head coach per year. And then you've got the cost of his staff, the family, of people that help coach the program. And then you've got all the other added side benefits, meaning private jets, food, events, hotels, just the cost of doing business type line items on your budget every year. And so I just don't think that people understand yet. When I say people, I mean institutions. I don't think that the big dogs in college football until recently, right, have begun to understood that they can't make a mistake in who they hire. And when you do hire someone, you have to be absolutely sure that that's the guy and that you're committed to him for 5 years. Because I'm a little past this, like when we had all our debates over Matt Rule's quality. That's all cool that Matt Rule, third year with Matt Rule, is supposed to be, just incredible. And, my God, would never, it's just amazing. And that's when things take off. But if you're paying these guys this much money, aren't you essentially paying for, several CFP appearances and 1 or 2 natties over a 10-year period?
Jake, look at the money those scumbags in Ann Arbor lost on Jim Harbaugh. I mean, you think about the fact they dropped this appeal. The guy who is a complete POS scumbag that bailed on you for the NFL, and you begged him to stay, and you were going to make him the highest paid coach in the history of college football, allegedly, and he still left. And now you're stuck with Sharon Moore, who can't develop talent and doesn't make you better, and you're paying him, and it's another level 1 violation, multiple level 1 like, you think about the money
again and again and again,
and think about how much money you were supposed to make when you won a national championship. Look how much money they've lost because they won a national championship.
Gonna go and say you're in the red there, guys.
And Jabba the Manual, still the athletic director there. Even though you've had another major scandal, and there's still other major scandals you're dealing with. Those are the mistakes you can't make because you just don't recover from that. And then you start getting into, the Bryce Underwoods of the world. Brian Kelly lost Bryce Underwood at LSU, cost him his job. I mean, you think about how good LSU staff is at developing young quarterbacks like that, or at least through Brian Kelly's tenure. And you look at the absolute debauchery, the embarrassment, the absolute scumbags in Ann Arbor. And if they lose Bryce Underwood to the portal, was any of that worth it? Was any of that worth it? Right. I can't even, I can't fathom the money and the time and the absolute effort that you put into that operation and how much then money and time it costs you. It's remarkable. But I think this is just the economics of college football now. And the multi-thousands of you watching the show, like, do you want your teams paying buyouts? I will only talk about my fandom at Notre Dame. I am not a Marcus supporter. I think that everybody wants to tell me how amazing he is. And, oh my God. Nah, bro. Marcus Freeman is a guy that is a good coach. But at Notre Dame, are we just looking to be a good football team? Or are we looking to win national championships? I think people at Notre Dame are good competing, not winning.
Would you say that Marcus Freeman at this time is better than Dan Lanning is as a coach?
I don't believe he is. I think Dan Lanning has his shit together far more than Marcus does. Mm-hmm. I think my biggest complaint with Marcus Freeman is I think on a lot of situations offensively, he doesn't know up from down. And I think that when you look at the way that, again, this is the same thing I say about Sharon Moore at Michigan. Sharon Moore is lost in the sauce in a lot of pressure moments where he's got to come up with a quick adjustment, Sherrone Moore can't do it. And you're looking at, there were multiple plays in the USC game for Michigan where Bryce just ignored the play call. And it's been talked about a lot where he just didn't run the play that was put in. What did Sherrone Moore do about that? Nothing. Because what can Sherrone Moore say to Bryce Underwood? Nothing. Marcus Freeman is so out of touch offensively. And now, when our secondary can't cover, you just have to ask yourself, this guy's good. Is he the reason we got to the college football playoff? Has to be. He's the head coach. And I'm not going to question that. But what happens when we don't get to the college football playoff? Because we're going to lose again. We're going to lose again. And I would remind you that this guy is tied to Notre Dame for 5.5 more years now. Whether you want him to be or not. He signed a contract, I'm pretty sure it was December 15th. He signed a 6-year extension. What's going to happen when we lose at Pitt? What's going to happen when we lose to Boston College or Navy or Syracuse or Stanford? None of those games should be competitive. Those should be 17 to 20-point wins for Notre Dame. But what's going to happen when it's not? Because it won't be. Hope I'm wrong. But yeah. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see, exactly how those things play out. And you look at the way that these coaches, and there's a bunch of them, like you look at a guy like Lincoln Riley. He's never been able to put a top-tier defense on the field. Never been able to put a top-tier defense on the field. And it's shocking because you look at Brent Venables at OU. He's got a top-tier defense. He had a Heisman caliber quarterback until he got hurt. And the losses have piled up. But you look at Kurt Cignetti. Cignetti's probably got the best defense in the country right now, or one of. And he's got a Heisman candidate in Fernando Mendoza. And their offense is super dynamic. I look at Alabama, top-tier defense, super dynamic offense. And I go back and I say, look at LSU. Not a good defense, a bad defense, and not dynamic offensively. I look at Oregon. Really dynamic quarterback in Dante Moore. You wonder a little bit about the wide receiver talent. Are you 6, 7, 8 deep? Probably not. But the defense, it's shocking how easily Indiana pushed them around up front.
Yep. Stop physical them.
Shocking. Right. And I look at Marcus Freeman. How are you unable to play zone coverage? And you go back to the Miami game. They could not play zone defense. Just can't cover out of zone. Don't understand it. And it's not that Xavier Watts isn't here because you supposedly upgraded. But it just, my point is, you're paying these guys a lot of money. They need to win every year. They're not gonna. But if you lose, your name better be Kirby Smart. If you lose, you better have gotten a ton of talent out of the portal and not talked about how Jesus Christ is running your organization. Right, Dabo? I mean, that Dabo said,
in God's name, image, and likeness.
We built this in Jesus' name, image. Like,
we built this program on NIL.
Yep. Well, Cade Klubnik was counting on Jesus, like thoughts and prayers, bud. And how did that work?
Probably different than what you're thinking, though.
Right? Like, I just think it's very interesting that when you get into these conversations, you tend to find your way and you don't really find your way. Oh, look, Ferris is back.
What is this burner number 871, Ferris?
Casuals complain about passing yardage when Michigan got a historically good. Are you out of your mind?
Yes, dude, he is. This is Ferris we're talking about, bro. Yes.
Bryce Underwood is going to transfer.
How do we get 2 guys?
And it's not because of the passing offense, dipshit. It's because they won't let him run. They won't let him be a true RPO court. He's ignoring play calls. He is ignoring play calls. Like, he's on tape waving off the sideline. He's on tape. He's doing this, and he's like, you just see him like be like, what are you? To his, amazing head coach, multi-time level 1 violator. Get out of here, dude. We built this Clemson program on Christian rock music. I believe that's true. Why wonder what 3-Eye Atlas talent composite is?
Yeah,
how about
right?
this thing? Do you guys really think it's a UFO? Do you really think that 3-Eye Atlas is an alien spacecraft?
What I really think is nobody wants to talk about it in an official capacity, which tells you there's something going on. I don't know if that means it's alien or if it's, if there's some, if
it's headed directly for Earth.
Yeah, like if we're all going to die in a month or what, I don't know. I don't know, dude.
What do you think it is?
I think that there's something going on there that's not of this world that people are not ready to tell the public yet. That's what I think. And I don't know. I genuinely don't have an opinion on if that means it's alien or what, but I'm just telling you there's something there that is like, whoa, we can't be bringing this up on Fox News, right? We can't be doing press hearings in front of a landscaping garage talking about 3-Eye Atlas and, what it's going to do to the planet. We can't be doing that. We're not doing that. So I don't know. My question is, at what point does Elon start making statements about what's going on in space since he's the rocket guy? Like when does he get involved since everyone's ripping NASA at this point?
I don't know, man. I think 3-Eye Atlas is fascinating. I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole on it. And from what I understand, Phil Knight has so much money that it's going to, because he's got all that Nike money, he's going to give the aliens new shoes, and they're going to take Dante Moore and head for the hills.
But listen, this is the most important question right here. 3-Eye Atlas is interviewing for the open LSU in Florida job, okay?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Ferris says RPO is literally run pass option. It's not the RPO that's the problem.
Are you new to this?
It's when they call another passing play. He clearly wanted to get out of the pocket, and they didn't allow that. They want him to be a pocket passer. Go away. Seriously, yes, please just go away. You're insufferable. Your lack of, he was a lone wolf, Monty. Yeah, it turned out that wasn't true. Like, your bullshit is just so burned out. And you wonder why you consistently have your YouTube accounts banned from the platform.
He's on burner number 50 at this point.
I'm serious. Like, how many accounts of yours have gotten banned?
Ferris number 10 and, Ferris Stan and Ferris the stadium guy and Ferris Michigan fan. Like, come on, dude.
And inevitably you turn into such a red ass. It's like Wasikowski, why we don't read a lot of his comments, because he just insults people constantly. Why would we want that kind of energy on our show? Oh, we don't. Instead, dude that abides says, Ferris, how do you always come in here when I make the rare choice to try to defend Monty versus Michigan just to amp him up? Yeah, Eggy. I'd rather talk about 100 5-star lizard alien. Well, listen, Monty, I got to tell you, that talent composite on 3-Eye Atlas, they've got a lizard.
The blue chip talent composite on 3-Eye Atlas, though.
They've got this lizard that runs a 2.640, and let me tell you something. Dante's just got to get it out in front of him, and it's over, bud. You ever seen a lizard run a 2.640? Those front legs are chopping like a corn combine, dude.
Mika, a big boo.
Bro is running a 1 second 40 on 3-Eye Atlas.
TCU James, Michigan needs a new OC, someone who has learned under Urban Meyer.
Dude,
run first, spread offense tree.
Bro, you're a pastor. What is your affinity with pederasses like Urban and James Franklin? What are we doing? Like,
No, you can't make this up. The funny thing about Michigan fan and Bryce Underwood is they know it's coming because Bryce has pretty much said they have limited Bryce Underwood to one media appearance a week now. Because Bryce is really dynamic. He's a great personality. He's a super sharp kid. Like, he was saying things. Dude, let him run. Let him run.
Empty. The opposite of full.
He is a true freshman who's learning on his own. Like some of the horror stories coming out of Ann Arbor about the coaching he's not getting.
I'm screwed.
The lack of a relationship that he supposedly has. The amazing shit we're hearing about. He doesn't know how to read defenses yet, and they're not helping him learn that skill.
What are we talking about? The Chicago Bears?
And
Jesus.
They won't let him option out of passing plays. They're telling him, no matter what, you are staying in the pocket and throwing this football. And he's like, no, I'm not. Oh, I mean, yeah, sure. All right, coach. And you can see when the play breaks down and he wants to run, there's frustration because he either throws it away or Sharon Moore gets all pissed off. It's so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. It's wild to me. And it again, and I'll just say this about so many people, whether it's John Harbaugh, Shane Steichen, idiot face in Philadelphia, or cheater Sharon. When you're done deleting those text messages, Sharon, maybe you just want to run the football a hell of a lot more.
We keeping a buck right now, we ass.
Because you have a dominant running game. Run the football. Oh, that's right. You know better than everybody else.
Well, Monty, are you not familiar with what RPO is? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know ball, though, you guys. I
just want to
never mind that we were completely and 100% right about cheeseburgers for hungry kids and the fact that Connor wasn't a lone wolf. Oh, that wasn't him on the sideline for McElwain.
So you don't know. You don't know what QBR is. Apparently, you don't know what blue chip talent pool ratios are. And now, apparently, you don't know what RPO is on a football field. I mean, you never watch ball. I mean, that's
I don't know
what
ball.
This is, dude.
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Your mom does, but I don't know ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
It just, I think it's remarkable. I think and again, I just will continue to say, Michigan will not be a powerhouse as long as Sharon Moore is their head coach. Because you have a wonderfully talented weapon at quarterback, and you don't have a coach who knows what to do with it. It's like having the greatest sports car on earth. Oh, but it's manual, and I don't know how to drive stick. That's exactly what this is at Michigan. And I'm here for it. Because until Fat Ass is fired as the athletic director, and until Sharon Moore, the great deleter of text messages, is no longer their head coach, Monty loves to read Eric Ferry. I don't know who Ferry is, and James Post because you love it. Well,
the great deleter of text messages.
That's who he is. Another name generating buzz here in Louisiana is John Summerall. They will not hire a G5 coach. They are. And I was doing a radio interview yesterday about John Summerall.
Yeah.
And John's a phenomenal head coach.
Story.
He is. And he is a fantastic story. LSU can't take a risk on a G5 guy. You are hiring Nick Saban, Dan Lanning, or Lane Kiffin. And you are going to pay every penny that you have to get it done. Because those are the only three names that will fix this certain you do not have enough talent in the program at LSU. Well, the talent composite, Marty.
Man, all these blue chips.
You do not have enough talent in the program. And it is as simple as that. I just don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for a lot of the names that are linked to that job. As sure as I am sitting here, multiple, and when I say multiple, it's 3 different sources have told me straight away, LSU is not going, if LSU interviews coordinators, they're in trouble. And I think that's as well put as I can say it. If LSU will hire Garrett Riley before they will hire Summerall, because they're just not going to put themselves in a position where you're bringing in a guy who isn't proven successful at the P4 level. And I think they would rather have the best offensive minds at the P4 level than a G5 guy. I think you, and again, maybe I'm evangelizing now. I don't know. Do you understand how big the LSU job is? Do you guys understand the scope and shape of that job? It is the enormity of pressure to win at LSU, because you have everything you need. Money is not an object. Facilities are not an object. You have arguably the best night game venue in the country. And they're wanting to play more night games in Death Valley. What you don't have is talent. And I think when Lane Kiffin, because with all the Lanning stuff I've told you about today, I just don't know how that gets fixed. If in fact that's true, I don't know how it gets fixed. But when you hire Lane Kiffin, because again, and let's reset, because at some point I'll get credit for being right about this. They're going to throw an ass load of money at Nick Saban for 3 years.
You think it's 20 or in the neighborhood?
I was told it's $20 million a year for 3 years.
Okay.
He will, and the plan would be Nick is going to be the guy that's going to right that ship. He is, and the problem is Nick Saban's got a really good existence right now. He works in TV, works at ESPN, and he plays a thoughtless amount of golf. And he gets to mentor programs. He's still involved on a small level at Alabama. And so what they would like to do is have Nick Saban coach the team for a minimum of 2 seasons next year and into 26-27. And then in that 3rd year, put the guy who's going to replace him at LSU in place and mentor him, and then step into an oversight management role into retirement. I think it's a really smart plan. I don't think, why would Nick Saban do that?
No idea. Why? I mean, and he said multiple times publicly that he's not interested, but the wife is.
$20 million a year, is that, bro? If LSU is really offering Nick Saban $20 million a year for 3 years, and then a lifetime contract, how are you not taking that offer seriously? How is that not like, dude, we're going to do
Great
this,
point.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we going to? By all accounts, he's really healthy. His wife, by all accounts, is open and supportive if that's what he wants to do. How do you say no to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Because it's preference. That's how. It's not about the money for him at this point, right? I mean, that's great. 20 a year or whatever it would be is great, but it's not about that for him. He wants to just do what he's doing, and
yeah,
if he says no to that, that's why. Because it's not what he wants to do.
I think it is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. The problem is Coach Prime. There's belief that Coach Prime's not healthy. And I think, I really hope we don't ever get to a place where he has to retire for health. But there's some people talking about that. True or not, I don't know. I hope not. I really hope not. I really, really hope not. Because I just don't think he's healthy enough to do it. K. Nurin says BYU number 9. Yeah, we talked all about it yesterday. I think they should be number 6. Did you guys see that LSU? I'm a bad person. Did you guys see this? Now, I took an enormous amount of heat for what I said about Texas Tech and Utah.
Let's wind the clocks back a year.
Kicking off at 10 a.m. And you guys said, oh, it's the biggest window, Monty, you fucking asshole. Oh, it's big noon kickoff, 16 million viewers. We're bringing 16 million viewers, Monty. Monty, it's 16 million viewers to the Big 12. How dare you? Okay. Yep. 16 million viewers for Texas, Ohio State. So let me get this right. How dare you? So not only did you not draw 16 million viewers, and literally you drew a quarter of that, you got outdid by Florida, Miami, substantially more viewers. 2.4 million is a lot of fucking viewers. Auburn, Oklahoma, 2 million viewers is a lot of fucking viewers. Michigan, Nebraska, 1.3 million viewers. Jake, that's a lot of fucking viewers.
That's a lot of viewers.
And then you were 4 million. How dare you, Monty? It's 16 million viewers for the Big 12. No, it's not.
How is that even possible?
And what did I tell you guys? It's going to be 4 million views, right? I believe, and I don't believe. I went back and watched it today.
I personally believe.
I said 4 million viewers would be a gift.
We don't take any shit.
And you guys were like, oh, Monty! Ah! You guys were like all fired up. How dare you say that? Okay. Well, it was 4 million viewers. So now we're in a position where we're doing it again. We put BYU and Texas Tech, one of the biggest games of the year, that should be under the lights so we can clearly see the tortillas and lighters and quarters flying onto the field with water bottles. Yeah, I'm not a nice guy. Anyway, the point is, instead, we're doing it at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Again. And here's what the narrative's going to be. Oh, Monty. The Mormons will turn out. It's 1 million viewers every time you put them BYU boys on ESPN, boy.
God bless.
The problem is it's not on ESPN, it's on Fox. Well, Monty, actually, it is ESPN. And where was this game? Jake, I don't quite remember because you're old and fat, Monty. You don't have any memory,
I
boy.
believe the graphic says here on the right side there, it says it's on Fox. Big Noon, Fox material.
It's Fox. I can't remember the guy who owns Fox. Lachlan and his dad. Anyway, it's all Fox. Sean Hannity and the boys at Fox are hosting.
Hey, boy.
Hey, boy. We're going to do it with Fox and friends, boy.
Family.
Well, yeah. We're going to do it with family.
Family.
Heavy breathing will ensue.
Family.
I don't know what I'm doing right now. But the point is, what I do know, boy.
Bro.
It won't be 16 million views because you put it on at 10 a.m.
The biggest load that we've seen.
What are you doing? Yeah, Fox Sports. I hate it. The game should be a 7:30 kickoff. Because you and I both know, Bryce Martin, that's that air quality. That's what allows the tortillas to float in like AI-1 meteor guy thing. 3IA or whatever it's called.
3i Atlas, please.
Same thing.
Such
the
as
point
in, like,
is, in stuff, that I hate this game at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
What are we doing?
I hate it.
Why are we not playing at night? Like, what's the big deal?
This is a terrible idea. It is the wrong time and the wrong time slot to have BYU and Texas Tech playing a football game. The fans in Lubbock, the fans of the Big 12 deserve better than this. And yet we won't get better than that.
No.
It's just not going to happen. And you start looking at what other games are that week. The problem is Texas A&M and Missouri. That game's kicking off at 3:30 Eastern. You can't do that at 1 Eastern. Right? That's probably the best game that week. Bama LSU. Oh, look at that. Bama LSU, 7:30 prime time.
What?
Holy
LSU's playing another night game?
So wait.
Monty, that can't be true because you're stupid. You don't know what an RPO is, boy.
Are you telling me that the best games are under the lights? They kick off, they play the biggest games at night, or
at least the games they like, Monty.
You're telling me they don't give a rat's ass how many people watch BYU and Tech. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me.
But, Monty, you don't know what an RPO is. Job of the manual.
Are you not familiar with an RPO, Monty?
I'm telling you now. As sure as I can sit here and tell you that the Detroit Lions are not going to be number one in the power rankings on the show tomorrow.
Wow.
This game should be 7:30 Eastern kickoff. 6:30, 5:30 Mountain, 4:30 Pacific.
Boy.
But it's not, because there's no love for the Big 12.
Family.
That's what I feel like this is.
It's family, Monty.
Family.
Ain't nobody care about the Mormons and the tortillas.
This is going to do small ratings. I'm telling you again, this is going to do small ratings. And it's going to be used to perpetuate this thing. Oh, nobody watches Big 12 on television, boy. That's what this will be.
Because it's garbage.
That's what this is. And again, not to tell you I told you so, but, well, you know where this is going. Did anybody see what old Greg Sankey did there?
It is if I say it is.
So Greg Sankey listens to the show. We know that now, because I told you. Did I not tell you Greg Sankey's not in favor of the gambling thing? I told you Greg Sankey was pissed that they allowed college athletes to bet on professional sports. Greg Sankey sent a letter, a very loud letter to the NCAA, begging them to reverse their course. What did the NCAA do today?
Monty, Greg Sankey, he ain't got no power. He's the devil, boy.
That might be true, but apparently the devil carries some weight, because the NCAA is delaying the ability for college athletes to bet on pro sports.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Uh-oh. Monty got another one right. God damn it. I guess he isn't a lone wolf.
Monty, your takes are turning into blue chip ratio type players.
What's your talent composite, boy?
We keeping a buck right now. We ass.
Greg Spanky is a fan of Monty. You know, even Tech in Kansas was at 7:30.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I don't know what to do. When they make us kick off at 11:30 here down in West Texas,
Family.
when they make us do that, the tortillas aren't even cooled yet. How do they expect them to fly inside the playing surface and stuff, Monty?
How can you kick this? I'm so pissed about this. I'm so over the disrespect.
Gotta stop being surprised, dude.
And not only is this disrespect of the conference, but this is disrespect to Texas Tech. That's a big program that's winning big games, except one. And
well, that's all it takes in the Big 12.
And you're not giving them the primetime spot on ABC.
No, because you lost to ASU.
Bryce Martin. So LSU fires their coach. Alabama's favored by double digits, and they got a primetime game. Yeah, they did. Oak State James. I love you, James.
You're not going to love him after this comment.
I'm so middle of the road neutral that you're here, And
James, how's the accelerated course going? I mean, are you done with that yet, or where are we at?
Monty, I'm in the rectory doing my accelerated course. I have to go chart. I'll be back.
Family.
I'm going to run the Buc-ee's. I'm going to hop in the Japo shitbox and run over to Buc-ee's. And run over to Buc-ee's. They got fresh burnt ends, boy.
And James, please, dude, you sent me a video today on Instagram of a beaver chewing on wood outside of a Buc-ee's.
Here's a fresh shot of me at Buc-ee's, Jake.
Well, look at that beaver. Look at that beaver outside of Buc-ee's, boy.
Jake, look at this beaver. I wish this was us, me and you.
Macaque.
Family.
Speaking of which, did you guys see this story? Read the tweet. Justin,
Bro, no.
a truck hauling racist monkeys from Tulane University crashed in Jasper County.
Macaque.
The monkeys, which weigh about 40 pounds each, are aggressive and may carry herpes and COVID.
Bro, dude.
Do you guys see the monkey?
Dude,
the coronavirus.
Do you guys see the monkey about right here, sitting on the box?
Everybody gets a test.
Mama, there's a monkey. Don't touch it, boy. He's got herpes.
Macaque.
And every time I see this photo now, I think of Oak Station.
Dude.
Wait. Mom, did you say that those monkeys have herpes?
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
No, son. They have multiple forms of herpes. Better wear a raincoat, boy.
Bodix is playing well.
Dude. Bro.
Tell
James,
me that
you intentionally crashed this big rig, didn't you? That's what you did.
Have you seen these two together?
Wow, bro.
Macaque.
Oh my God. Can you measure it, Monty? Well, only if I'm able to catch that monkey, boy.
Can you measure it?
Yes. Yeah. Herpes monkeys for the win, boy.
Twitter's been going crazy.
Oh,
Dude.
James, I love you, man. All I have left to do is my final.
So
hey,
listen,
Monty.
part of my thesis.
Jake, then all I have to do is write my paper, boy. And then it's time to play beaver out front of Buc-ee's.
Family.
Jake, do you want to play beaver out front of Buc-ee's? That. That's right. Beaver chewing on wood. James, I'm happy for you, dude. I know that probably wasn't easy to go through the compressed class in seminary and
Accelerated.
Condensed.
Because he's a blue chip prospect on 3-1 AI Atlas.
That talent composite's amazing down there. I love
His
it.
3A1I Atlas was the Honda shipbox.
What would you do without James? Not have as much fun on this show, I can tell you that.
Not get videos of beavers chewing on a tree outside of a fast food gas station.
But now Ferris is back, so now we don't need to.
Ferris burner 871, Monty. Like
James, no, it's not brutal. James is my not my guy.
Bro,
He's
you
Jake's
just made
guy.
a macaque joke and referenced it with James. I think that he earned it today.
Not. I would never do that. Oh, wrong picture of James. My bad.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, guys.
I actually really like James. Every good show needs a heel. Exactly right.
You.
Oh, Jake.
Oh my God. James does it to himself. He really does. Reggie.
Literally and figuratively, huh?
Reggie, good to see you. ESPN won't give the Big 12 primetime slots. They're too busy trying to manufacture more SEC viewership. There you go. There you go. Oh, Greg, dude, how's the wife? How's married life? How's the baby? Sexy Greg, who is literally an actor and a model, international man of mystery.
Macaque.
Good to see you, dude. Have you come out of the Cubs? Have Mrs. Monty and I, my wife gets back from Europe and she's like, man, I can't wait to go to a Cubs game next year.
Bro.
My wife's a masochist. You figure it out. I can't. I'm actually. Greg, will we sign pictures?
For moments like that.
We won't. We probably won't. James is the Kramer of the show. He really is. There are definitely better heels that are on this show regularly than James. James is more of a lovable punching bag. And he knows it. He knows it. REM Air Systems. Did BYU's Bear Bachmeier drop back skills show anything that would make Tech prepare differently? I think, listen, and I happily ate shit over this yesterday on the show. Bears playing great football. They're 8-0. I love that BYU fans are like, Monty, what do you got to say? Bear Bachmeier's 8-0. BYU's 8-0. That defense might have, and listen, BYU's defense, I know it's not very good, and Bears, the reason they're.
They don't have a lot of blue chip prospects, so,
Low talent composite. I think BYU's very good. And I think Bear Bachmeier absolutely has shut me up. I deserve all the heat.
It's time to start proving, right? You're at that time of the year where you were last year. This is where it all fell apart last year. So beat Texas Tech, then talk your junk. If you beat Texas Tech, you're home free.
I think they're home free already.
Nah, they're not home free yet. Nope.
Still deep in Cubs slump, dude. Have you been following the trade? Yes, I have.
What trade talks?
I don't know that I don't know. There's talk that the Cubs are going to offer Kyle Tucker $425 million.
Bro, what is this, buyout in college football?
And the Dodgers, this is where I am as a Cub fan. The Dodgers are about to win the World Series, and they're going to offer him $325. He's going to say no. He's going to say no to the Cubs at $420 or $450, and yes to the Dodgers at $325.
Why is that? Oh, that's right. The Dodgers win.
The Cubs are Dan Lanning, and the Dodgers are Lane Kiffin.
No, the Dodgers are Kirby. Lane hasn't won a damn thing.
Well, shut up, Jake. You shut up. I hope that we're wrong, because I think one of the things that's really interesting is that I just think if they let Kyle Tucker go and they don't replace him, the Cubs offense will be significantly worse. And if the Dodgers get him in the 3s and not the 4s, I think somebody will throw half a bill at it. I think somebody will throw $500 million at him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to get what the Mets paid Juan Soto. Juan paid that contract off. They missed the playoffs, but that wasn't his fault. But I think it's going to be very interesting. And I don't want anything to do with Tarek Skubal, as much as Skubal I thought was very deserving of his, 24 Cy Young. That's not the right guy for Wrigley Field. I think when you look at the Bo Bichette's of the world, the guy that I really hope that they chase, Dylan Cease. I would love to see them. I'd love to see them add Dylan Cease, who could be their ace. And then you need a low end starter. You need a Zach Gallen, a Michael King. You need a lower end starter, right? Like Tarek Skubal is a guy who I think his best is behind him, even though he was unbelievable in the playoffs for Detroit.
You already think his best is behind him.
I'm a little worried about it because he went through that middle of the year, whatever. Well, they as a team, but so did the Cubs. But
he's got a part. There's no doubt.
I don't listen. I think Skubal is a phenomenal pitcher. I just don't want to find out. I mean, what was he, a 2.21 ERA? But it if he's who we wind up with, we're all in to win now.
Well, and he's a no doubt about it, acquisition. If he flames out, it is what it is. Like
yes, this is exactly my point. The Cubs need you're the flipping Chicago Cubs. Who is the best pitcher in baseball? Go get him.
Well, you know who that is. That's not Scooble.
But you're not even affiliated to the Yamamotos. You're not even the guy. You're not even the ball club that goes after Paul Skeens. Throw the entire universe at the Pirates. Throw in the fucking W flag. Let's do what's got to be done. Right? In my opinion, the Chicago Cubs have to do two things. You need to go and get a battery. You need to go find a young stud catcher. And you need to go find a top of the rotation minted guy. And is Scooble that guy?
Yeah. I think he is.
He's 28 years old, man.
In his prime.
I hope you're right. I hope it happens. If it happened, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. But
if he was 30, I wouldn't be saying this. He's 28 years old. He's got 2 seasons left in his prime. And then you got to take it 2 years at a time from there.
I want nothing to do with this Kyle Tucker thing. I want nothing to do with $500 million. I just,
yeah,
you just can't. And I mean, guys like Drew Pomerantz, and I think you're going to pay him. That's a no-brainer. Bring him back. The bullpen needs him. I want it. I want the Cubs to be competitive. I want the Cubs to be competitive. And it is, as much as we need to retain some guys in the bullpen. And you've got to go get, I'm not a Matt Shaw. I'm not a Matt Shaw believer. I'm not. I am. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah.
Right. I think, and again, I will say, one of the guys, Shane Bieber's absolutely on the Cubs' radar. You're going to get a look at him tonight. How does he do at Dodger Stadium against Shohei? I think he's starting for them tonight. Right? Yes, this is what I talked about the other day. Are the Cubs even going to make a phone call on Bryce Harper? You need, again, my goddamn left fielder should still be on this team. How many times have I talked about this? Kyle Schwarber should never have left this team. I understand Riz, Chris Bryant. I understand all those dudes. Kyle Schwarber was everything the Cubs needed the last 2 years. And he's doing it. I don't know how you fix it. Right? Yeah. Yes, it is a huge boondoggle. You cannot pay this guy because he didn't earn $500 million this year. Jake and I joked a lot about the fact that Kyle Tucker would stand in right field and simply stretch the entire inning.
Yeah, doing plyos.
And in September, how many terrible at-bats did I watch? Just so many bad at-bats. Eugenio Suarez, was he stellar for Seattle? No. Was he better than Matt Shaw? By a lot. Never even got in the conversation by most accounts. Daniel Dixon, Cubs ownership needs to be able to spend money. Able is probably not the word you should have put there. Needs to be willing. They're making money hand over fist. They're out of debt. Yeah, he did. He fell apart in the playoffs. He's got to come back and hit. He's got to show. The kid can play any position in the infield. We're the best defensive team in baseball by a lot. right, with PCA. But Ian Happ's another guy. Is Ian Happ your everyday left fielder on a World Series team? The guy literally can't put the barrel on the ball in 8 out of 10 at bats. He can't be your everyday left fielder. Cannot do that. Dude. Rollover, weak grounder to first over and over. And that was Kyle Tucker over half of the season. Yep. Ian Happ's a decent 9-hitter. But we didn't use him as a 9-hitter, right? Seeing Shaw was ugly to watch. And I think he may have uningratiated himself with the funeral appearance.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people talked about. Well, Bachmeier shut Monty up. That's an accomplishment. It is. He's 8-0.
I'm just warning you, dude. There's a lot of season left.
I'm not questioning him ever again. I mean, until I need to. The guy, he's not somebody. This team is doing things they shouldn't be able to do. But again, I think they have the best 1-2 wide receiver combination. I've been telling you guys that. Now I know Oak State James believes that Oklahoma State has the best wide receiver room in the country. BYU, Chase Roberts. I mean, I don't know how he continues to run. Do you guys understand he's running better routes week in and week out? How? He just becomes a better route runner every chance he gets. And Parker Kingston has no business being a football player. And I think they're the best 1-2 combination in the country, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to find more. The problem is they only have 11 passing touchdowns. And I will just maintain Bear Bachmeier's numbers are very good.
They're winning in ways that are very unconventional.
Yes,
their defense is making plays, and that concerns me when you start playing better teams. You don't make mistakes. So we'll just see. I mean, they deserve a ton of credit. I think they've gone farther than anyone thought.
He deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah, I mean, Bear deserves a ton of credit. BYU deserves a ton of credit. You're having a great year. You're certainly overachieving. Kalani and the guys, ton of credit. Roderick, ton of credit. At the same time,
look, when Jake Retzloff had sex and the season ended, and then Bear Bachmeier showed up, and
length and girth.
He's been a revelation. Monty, I need your help explaining to Cowboy James. Oh, Jake the Beaver. Why he can never be a TCU fan. Please set him straight. Because you're an Oak State fan. You went to Oak State. I've explained this.
Clap having Jezebel.
But Monty, I drove my Japo shitbox over to TCU's campus for an intensive rectory, and now I'm a TCU fan.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
I'm very horny. I go for it. It doesn't matter if you've attended classes at TCU. It does not. That would be like Greg Hawkins being like, "Yeah, I'm a BYU fan now."
I'm a White Sox fan now.
It's funny. Monty, I got to tell you, I went to BYU and I had a cougar tail. Now I'm a BYU fan. I've done the work. I've eaten the entire cougar tail.
Let's settle this right now.
You don't get multiple college football teams. It's why Wasikowski's a fraud, because he's a Michigan State fan. How are you a Michigan and a Michigan State fan?
Doesn't happen, dude.
You're an Oak State fan. You're not a TCU fan. And again, on the list of Oak State James murdered them. I understand Oak State is dead because, well, you murdered them. SMU is dead because you murdered Preston Stone's cock. And Baylor's dead. Baylor. It was Baylor. Oh, Monty, I got to tell you something.
That's right.
I got to tell you something, Monty. Baylor's going to be the best team in the Big 12, Monty. They're going to surprise. They're going to surprise everybody. The Wolf. Oh my God, Dave Aranda. My God, Dave Aranda is going to bounce back undefeated. He's going to make you forget all about David Koresh down there in Baylor, because he's going to murder everybody.
He's a brilliant guy.
How's that worked out? Do you still have room on your tombstone of death for Dave Aranda, Baylor, or just put the wolf? People don't know what that means.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
How's Baylor working out? Well, that's right. They scapegoated another O-line coach.
Not a good question.
Greg Hawkins. Oh, yeah. I decided I'm just a Temple and Eastern Michigan fan. Huge Army fan. Always liked Stephen F. Austin. Anyway, yeah, Nevada is probably my favorite.
So you better check yourself.
I never said
You
Baylor
did
was.
not.
Oh, my God.
James, dude, you need to walk this back right now because you absolutely said Baylor was going to be good and they weren't going to fire Dave. You said that.
Did you see the way they ended the season last year, Monty?
My word.
When I was doing my charting last year watching football, and I picked my head up, damn, Baylor won again. Charting more. Well, hot damn, Baylor won again. Charting more. Well, ran a quarterback out of Utah on a dirty play. Charting more.
You sat here and told us that Baylor's the single greatest football team that your wife roots for. You straight up said David Koresh, there were good people on both. No, you didn't say that. But my point is, you said Baylor was going to win the Big 12 and go undefeated and then win the college football championship.
Bro, a family bomb on David Koresh references? Come on, dude. That's good material right there. Come on.
We're going to hell. Oh, wait, hell's not real. I'm fine.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Rex Kwan. Hey, Cash, wait for me. Can you give me a ride to Valhalla? I want to meet all the Christians in Valhalla, Cash. Hang on a second.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Dipshit. I said this a month ago. I picked Texas Tech.
Dude, you just ended Texas Tech season, brother.
Brother.
Bro, you said all summer.
Oh, did you guys see the way that the Koresh boys finished last season down there in Waco?
Oh my God, Monty, it's just incredible.
Look how shiny Dave Aranda's skull is, Monty.
Can you measure it?
They're winning everything.
You
His cock.
I watched the show when he said Baylor was going to be.
Here I am.
James, these motherfuckers keep receipts
Bro,
on this show.
dude.
They keep there's 600 people watching the show right now, and you think you're getting away with this? They keep receipts. They keep receipts.
There it is, right below Two Pants comment. Right below it.
Dave Aranda's press conference could cure insomnia. Okay. James, I picked Texas Tech, and that's how Cincinnati won. Exactly right.
100%, dude. That's facts, bro.
You literally sent a Utah fan to Jake Retzloff's apartment to smash the moment you said, oh, man, Jake Retzloff, dude. Man, I'm going to get Manischewitz right now. That kid's the best quarterback at BYU.
We did what we did.
Hey, Jake, can I come to your house party?
We're on to Cincinnati.
Can I bring a friend of mine? Who are you, Trevor Bauer? Come on, man. Baron Morton injured. Will Hammond injured. I'm telling you, a month ago I said Texas Tech is going to win the whole damn thing. Will Hammond's ACL heard you.
James, any thoughts on Texas Tech's quarterback situation currently? I personally believe that U.S. Americans at Texas Tech need to find maps of ACLs because they don't have maps, and such as in like the Fort Worth and the Provo is somewhere on the map, but they haven't found it.
Marcus, who shall remain nameless as to who he really is.
Family.
Should I read this? Should I read? My guy Marcus, who is one of our sources and works at a major Big 12 university.
Brother.
Oak State James.
He knows him by name?
Oak State James literally put the bend in Preston Stone's cock and sent him to Northwestern for the free penis car wash. And look how that worked out.
Sucking a ding dong.
GTFO with your never said that about Baylor.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
People keep receipts, bro.
Dude, that's incredible, bro. There it is. There's another blacklist on Baron Morton right there. Right there. Do you see it? It's
Morton
right
is
there.
the best quarterback in the Big 12.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
And there it is. That's the ball game, folks. Baron Morton is out for the year.
Morton's the best QB in the ICU. God damn it, James. Why do you hate Morton?
I'm still human.
This is incredible material right now, dude. You've caught, what, 4 receipts so far?
Aggie, James, say something about 3-Eye Atlas so that the aliens turn around and you save the world.
What the fuck are you, Ranger Rick?
3-Eye Atlas ain't coming to the earth, boys.
Listen, if they roll up on the earth, I'm going to roll up the shit box and I'll take them down. I got it.
Cowboy James makes me laugh. Thank you, sir. Exactly. K. Nurin. Texas Tech's QB is LDS. Backup QB is LDS. Now he doesn't have an ACL anymore. He came to BYU camps. I like it.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
I need to update you on Terry Rozier. Did you guys see this story?
Oh, boy.
The same year Terry Rozier, the NBA suspended gambler indicted guy who played for Miami but was arrested in a Charlotte Hornets sweatshirt, was alleged to have manipulated his performance in an NBA game that same year. He was facing an $8 million tax lien from the IRS, according to county clerk's records obtained by ESPN. Gonna say he did it. Could be wrong. Hope I'm not. Could be wrong. Probably
rough,
not.
And disappointing and
brutal.
sad. Really,
All right.
really tough.
Speaking of tombstones, before we get out of here, Jake and I are completely split on this. Did you guys see this motorcycle chase in Los Angeles? So, not funny. Domestic violence call goes out. Cops show up. Multiple, I believe, LA County sheriffs, San Bernardino County sheriff shot, 1 killed. The alleged actor gets on a motorcycle and leads police through a high-speed chase in Southern California. And this is how it ended.
Any kind of safe. Right now, it looks like he's... Bro! That's exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Now, Jake said, I would have done the same thing. Well, it turns out the guy who did this was an off-duty LA County sheriff who put himself on duty, reported himself on duty, was driving an LA County sheriff's undercover Toyota, and he's the one that intercepted the motorcyclist and the alleged cop killer. If you were just driving down the freeway, Jake, would you do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been like, yeah, dude, I think you're doing the community a service. Absolutely. Guys committing a crime, putting other people in danger.
Even if you're not a law enforcement officer.
Yeah. I mean, there have been stories about people intervening. I mean, is this, so if you're unwilling to, you know, if it's not okay to, you know, knock a dude down or spin a car out or whatever it might be on the road as a citizen, just as an everyday citizen in a community.
Mm-hmm. Such
as in like the Iraq. Is that not a similar situation to intervening in a robbery attempt, intervening in, well, you maintain it's no and everyone's going to get sued and everything. But what I'm saying is that at some point it has to matter that you're putting other people in danger at some point. So, you know,
what I'm telling you is that you cannot in any way, shape, or form do this if you're a normal, everyday citizen. Number one, you're going to get sued by the guy or the family. Number two, it is illegal. It is technically vehicular manslaughter. And I think number three, any law enforcement official is going to tell you to get out of the way. Because these guys are, he's driving a Toyota Camry. And I warn you, I'll show you the video again.
Kind of safe. Right now, it looks like he's, bro! That's exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Oof. That is, you can't do that. Right? You cannot do it. And this is a raging debate right now.
Has a handgun in his hand.
And he exactly. He was a violent suspect. There's no doubt about that. But I just think you can't do that. Even if he is a cop killer. He was wanted in the killing of a sheriff's deputy.
Yeah.
In a domestic violence incident. But you have no way of knowing that. You have no way of knowing that. I just think you can't do it. It's just impossible. And
maybe not, but all I'm saying is you're not going to catch me blaming someone if they were to. I don't, if this is the age old debate we've had on the show a million times about like, hey, if you're in any, whatever situation you want to, come up with, out in public, like if you're in a grocery store and a robbery goes down and you happen to be carrying, what are you supposed to do? Just hide? Or are you supposed to be proactive? Like, there's a million different scenarios. But all I'm saying is that sure, they may want to sue you for manslaughter, but I think you got a pretty strong case of self-defense, or, I'm sure you could come up with something. I'm not saying you should go out of your way to try to get involved in this, but dude's on a bike speeding with a handgun in his hand and a bunch of cops following him, and he pulls up next to you. Like,
I would also remind you, he did not die.
Yeah.
He did not die. Yeah. Camry's probably better.
Yeah. Camry over the Civic, James, in case you're taking notes.
Greg Hawkins said, nice job, officer.
Yeah. The technique was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. He killed a cop. Law says it's okay. He's a dangerous dude, dead or alive. He's alive. And I would also remind you that the statement released by the sheriff called what the officer did, the pursuit, quote unquote, the pursuit came to a conclusion with an off-duty deputy sheriff who put himself on duty and conducted a legal intervention by hitting the suspect on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I think if you're a police officer, I love you so much. And the job sucks right now.
Yeah.
This guy's a hero.
I understand why he put himself on duty. If that's available to you, obviously you're going to do that, of course.
And if I knew, listen, if I saw a guy on a motorcycle with a gun in his hand pointing it at people, yeah, I'm going to run you off the road. And if you're pointing at me, I'm probably going to try and run you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Eggy. Yeah. Self-defense. You're in defense of yourself or others. You would fear for your life.
On the freeway, it's kind of a unique situation because of the speed, right? Like on a surface street, it's different because obviously it's much tighter quarters. At that point, you're going to have a hard time not being able to play the self-defense card. On the freeway, it's a little bit different. In that case, he had the gun in his hand. If he had never taken the bag off and pulled the gun out, then I think you'd have a tough time. That's so well done, too. Nice job, bro.
James, relax.
Brother.
People like you. You're a huge character on this show. Say stupid things, win stupid prizes.
Imika Egbegbo.
Me like football. Nobody said you said that. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
All in fun, James. Everybody loves you, dude.
Yeah.
Even though you're a Baylor fan. We do love us some Oak State James. Everybody loves Oak State James.
Yes.
He just tends to take it personally sometimes.
Yes.
And the 2 other text messages I have, keeping receipts on what you said about Baylor. You did say that about Baylor. You did. My guy Patrick points out. Patrick said, I even remember the context of the conversation. James was talking about how Utah was not going to be good, and you guys were going back and forth about who had the best quarterbacks in the league. He said that Baylor was going to win because they had a great quarterback. People remember. People absolutely remember. And I'm just, James, that's how, do you understand? You're like famous, bro. You are, do you understand that you are famous? Like when you have over 10,000 people watching the show today.
People you don't know your name.
People you don't know the name Oak State James. You know.
And you're out here being salty about the fact that they're keeping receipts. Come on, bro.
Calling Baylor good versus saying they will win the conference. You said, bro, okay.
Listen,
We all
I've
love
done
you.
Listen, I've done you the service, James, of not keeping a manual log on a pad of paper of all the things you say and cutting them up and making a compilation at the end of the year. And I don't have that prepared for the end of this year. But keep going. And starting in January, I will start keeping a log, and we will do a best of Oak State James next year.
Eggy says,
if you want.
For real, I get stoked when I see James here. James is a huge part of the show. I love to see these back and forths. Me too. You know, Dampier is the best QB in the conference. TCU State James Stadium. Exactly. TCU State
bro.
James Stadium.
Wow.
Off topic. I find it so cringe how Kash Patel tries to look like superhero in NBA situation in the NBA situation. Yeah.
Another day, dude.
Don't get me started. Baron Morton is really good. His first game was against Oak State, and he torched the Cowboys as a freshman. You know he's having a terrible season, and he's hurt. And he actually got benched and lost his job to Will Hammond. And now Will tore his ACL, and all of a sudden it's a miracle Baron Morton's been cured of his leg injury.
Oh, what do you know?
So he's James Stadium guy now. Is that like the Iraq?
Iraq.
Well, man, you guys seen the new CNS stadium they built in the Iraq?
Iraq.
Okay.
All right. The Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. You guys, in all seriousness, it's never personal here.
Yeah,
we're just having fun,
bro. Just having fun.
James, even though he has huge front teeth, he's a really nice guy. And the fact that that monkey truck crashed,
such as in like,
it's nothing to do with James. It's not his fault. Anyway, it's all fun, man. Big show tomorrow. If you get in a wreck, you get hurt at work, Workman's Comp, theadvocates.com. 24/7, 365. You never pay out of pocket. In fact, you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. Until tomorrow, say I love you, Oak State James.
I hate you, Oak State James. Just kidding. Goodbye.